The following is a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to be the network of thoroughbred racing's richest day, the Breeders' Cup.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Fighting something nothing. So that I don't care by now. Step back for the home team.
The pitching matchup baseball fans have speculated about and hoped for all season long has arrived. It's Gooden versus Clemens in Game 2 from Shea Stadium. NBC Sports presents the World Series, an inside look. Brought to you by Apple Computers, makers of the Apple II and Macintosh families of personal computers. By Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal. It'll be milder this evening at Shea Stadium than it was for Game 1. As we approach game time, the temperature is 57 degrees. Hello again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. The lineup's exactly the same for Boston. Don Baylor on the bench until we get to Fenway and the Red Sox can use the DH. But Davey Johnson, with his team in the midst of a hitting slump, maneuvers a little bit. Wally Backman is, of course, back in at second base with a right-hander going. But Ray Knight sits down and Howard Johnson plays third. Mookie Wilson to the bench, Danny Heap in left. Lenny Dykstra will again start in center field. Now to that pitching matchup. A year ago, Dwight Gooden, the Cy Young Award winner in the National League. 24-4, incredible ERA of 1.53. This year, bound for a certain Cy Young Award in the American League, Roger Clemens matches that 24-4 mark for the Red Sox, though his ERA was almost a run higher in a designated hitter league. Gooden slipped a little bit this year, but still one of the game's most formidable pitchers at 17-6. And this confrontation has baseball fans reaching back to the memory bank for great confrontations of the past. 1963, Hall of Fame left-handers Ford and Koufax go in the opener at Yankee Stadium. Whitey won 10 World Series decisions during his career, and that's a record. But on this day, the Dodgers' Johnny Roseboro takes him deep. L.A. goes on to win 5-2 behind Koufax's masterful 15 strikeout performance. 1968, the Tigers' Denny McClain is the only 30-game winner of the last half-century. But when he faces Bob Gibson in the opener at St. Louis, it's no contest. This Tim McCarver triple, part of a 4-run outburst for the Cards, and Gibson makes it stand up. Gibby, threw 13 shutouts that year and had an incredible ERA of 1.12, fans a series record 17, and wins 4-0. And we're about to see if Gooden and Clemens can carve themselves a niche in World Series history. Now, fresh off dealing with Mike Scott and company in the playoffs and hitting under 200 against the Houston staff, the Mets are shut out by Bruce Hurst in Game 1, 1-0. And tonight, they've got to face Clemens. Hardly the prescription for ending a team batting slump. When we come back, Marv Albert reports on the Mets hitting woes. Stay with us.
An offensive-minded ball club only managed 5 hits themselves, or 6, whatever, and only scored 1 run, and that was on an unearned run. So I do think the weather has a lot to do with it.
But the weather would not explain what took place against the Houston Astros.
Well, we still won. We're still here, and we've done it like that all year. When we've had good pitching, we haven't had good hitting, and when we've had bad pitching, we've had good hitting. You don't win a National League batting championship collectively and not have a lot of quality on this ball club. And I'm just as pleased, and I love every one of these guys. And you watch us go today.
Bill, is it possible that one pitcher, and I'm talking about Mike Scott, where the Mets look so pathetic against him, could have messed you guys up since that Astro series?
Well, let's not say pathetic. I think we didn't do the things that we are capable of doing like we did the whole year, but never pathetic against anyone. We just didn't do the things that we're capable of doing. And no, we're not. Mike Scott, that's in the past. We have to concentrate on Roger Clemens right now.
Interesting how the batting instructor, or the hitting instructor, as you like to put it, is surrounded by the media only in times when things aren't going well, and you answered a lot of questions today.
Well, again, you know, if we'd have won the game 2-1, you might have been over there asking Walt Rainiac the same things. But like I said, first of all, hi, Mom, back in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, but I'm just as proud of these guys and really proud to be associated with every member of the New York Mets, and we're all right.
All right, coming up, a skeptical Bob Costas takes a look at the possibility of instant replay coming to baseball.
Series, you know, with the NFL going with its instant replay experiment this year, it sparked some discussion in baseball circles about using instant replay to help officiate in our national pastime. Here then, a hardly comprehensive feature, but one we hope you'll find interesting.
You were right here, and he knocked you over and went around. There's no way possible, Kenny. Eddie, that's it. The pictures won't show that. I promise you that.
So again, the question, does TV's technology have a place in officiating our most traditional game? Would replays have changed the course of recent World Series history? Take Game 3 in '75. Score tied, bottom of the 10th. The Reds at Armbruster tries to sacrifice. He collides with Boston's Carlton Fisk, who then throws wildly, setting up the winning run. Umpire Larry Barnett's call, an honest and legal collision that didn't unfairly affect Fisk's ability to make a play.
Man ran into him in the thing. He was interfering, and you went to call it. You tell me what you were calling, man, when he did it.
The replay would not have settled this one, since the call hinged on Larry Barnett's interpretation of the rule.
Well, as they looked at it over and over and studied the rule, they saw that I was right. Not too many people up in Massachusetts would admit that to this day.
The question here, did Reggie Jackson intentionally interfere with Bill Russell's throw? Umpire Frank Pulley said no, although replays suggested that Reggie might have subtly stuck his hip in the way. Still, the pictures weren't conclusive.
What's the donut, Tommy? He threw the ball. He's the guy standing in the guy. What's the guy standing in front of the base? Tommy, wait a minute. He's standing right here. Hey, look, he's standing right here.
NBC's Tony Kubek knew what many viewers were thinking.
I'll tell you what, the football people have talked anyway about using replays. This is a play here, and we've got a much better viewpoint than the umpires do after showing you 3, 4 different angles.
I don't think back. I mean, you know, that was blown out of proportion because it was the World Series. I've had plays during the season that, you know, to me were controversial, that there are some that I would like to take over and call differently.
Now, last year it was cut and dry. The Royals' George Orta is clearly out at first base in the 9th inning of Game 6. Don Denkinger mistakenly calls him safe, and the series begins to slip away from the Cardinals. No interpretations or shades of gray here. Clark to Orel, and he should be out.
What happened in the 6th game, I had a play that the replay showed that I was wrong. Believe me, when I called it, I didn't think I was wrong. I thought I got it right, but there again, because I am human, it ended up as a mistake.
Usually, it's not that simple. Often, it's a game of angles. Lonnie Smith tries to steal home in '82.
Here he comes. And they get him.
Or did they? How can you ever be sure the cameras will capture the perfect angle? On the first 2 replays, you can't tell. On the 3rd one, it looks like he's safe.
Tag by Simmons with one hand, but coming in head first.
Oh, he's safe.
But was his hand on the plate or over? For all the times it would be inconclusive, for all the potential delays and lack of spontaneity, if even one bad call could be changed, would it be worth it?
We're proven to be correct about 98, 99% of the time, and there's really no great need, I don't think, for it in baseball.
Maybe a replay would have vindicated and got me off the hook, but, you know, the game is played by human beings, and I think it should be officiated by human beings.
I just think that if you take the human element away from the game, it just does something to the game. What are they going to holler at? They're going to holler at the machines. They're going to kick machines and stuff. I hope it doesn't work, I swear to God. I hope it doesn't come into baseball.
In truth, I find it hard to believe that anyone could claim to know, love, and appreciate the game of baseball and then call for the use of instant replay to help officiate it. When does the realization set in that the appeal of baseball lies in its romance and mystique? The quick, spontaneous, and final judgment of an umpire, a human being, is part of the game's lore. The cold pursuit of some unattainable standards of efficiency is not. The idea of linking instant replay to baseball springs from the same soulless sensibility that has people colorizing classic black and white films and then calling it progress. To his credit, Commissioner Uberoth has been quoted as saying that during his administration, instant replay as an umpiring tool has no place. Let's hope that that sensible judgment ends the debate. And now, as I step down from my soapbox, it's time for the fans at Shea Stadium to rise to their feet. Our national anthem is next. Here's the PA announcer, Jack Franchetti.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Services Color Guard from Fort Hamilton, New York. And now, to honor America, please welcome one of this country's most popular recording stars and one of New York's own here tonight to sing the national anthem, Billy Joel.
To see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Billy Joel has done his part, and now the pitching duel baseball fans have waited for the longest time. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola have the call. Gooden versus Clemens after this from NBC News.
Tonight's Game 2 of the 1986 World Series is brought to you by your Toyota dealer and the all-new affordable Tercel. Who could ask for anything more? By Merrill Lynch, your world should know no boundaries. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold-filtered for real draft smoothness. It's beer at its best. And by New York Life, to help you get the most out of life. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully. Welcome to Game 2 of the World Series, where a spirit of invincibility continues to reign. And why not? The Red Sox, knowing they're only the sixth team in history, coming down 3-1 and come back to win, they have Roger Clemens. And for the New York Mets, winners of 108 games during the regular year, they felt they'd be in the World Series since the first day of spring training, and they counter with Dwight Gooden. Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden. What are they like? The fellows who really know are the guys behind the plate who have to catch them, Rich Gedman and Gary Carter. Let's meet them and go to Joe Garagiola.
Is Dwight Gooden easy or hard to catch?
Well, he's easy to catch when he's on, and he's a little tougher when he becomes a little wild.
Does he hurt your hand?
At times, but for the most part, I guess with the padding that I have, I seem to bear it out pretty well.
Is it because you catch him badly he hurts your hand, or because he throws so hard?
Because he throws so hard.
If you had one word to describe him besides his pitches, what would you use?
Intensity. And if I can add a little bit more to that, a great desire to want to win.
Thank you, Gary. Good luck.
Okay, Joe. Thank you.
Is Roger Clemens easy or hard to catch?
I think Roger Clemens is pretty easy to catch. I think the only time he's very difficult is when he starts to overthrow a little bit and his ball gets erratic. But pretty much he's right where he wants to be all the time, and so it makes it easy.
Does he throw a heavy or a light ball?
I'd have to say he throws a pretty heavy ball, but the thing that makes it easy is he throws a good, throws to his spots, and when he does that, it's not difficult at all.
If I ask you to describe him one word, not his pitches, what would you say?
He's very intense.
One says very intense, the other one intensity. We'll see. Two great pitchers, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Right here in New York is 57 degrees. The wind's very calm, and it is much warmer and more comfortable than last night as the Mets take the field. We are honored and graced by this year's Nobel Peace Prize winner, Elie Wiesel, throwing it to Gary Carter. It is indeed an honor to stand alongside of him. Here's the way the Red Sox will stack up. Wade Boggs leading off at third base and Marty Barrett at second base. Bill Buckner, who spent the pregame acting as the hitter for Roger Clemens, was in the bullpen. Rice in the cleanup spot, followed by Dwight Evans in right field. Rich Gedman will be behind the plate. Dave Henderson will be in center field. Spike Owen the shortstop, and Roger Clemens the pitcher. The big guy, 24-4, and we'll take a look at the Mets with the leather.
Defensively, and you'll see some of the changes that manager Davey Johnson has made. Heap is in left field, Dykstra is in center field, Strawberry in right field. Johnson at third base. Ray Knight is on the bench. Santana at shortstop. Backman is at second base. Hernandez at first base. Carter behind the plate, and Dwight Gooden on the mound.
I guess you could spend about an hour talking about Dwight Gooden. There are a couple of things to talk about. His career high in strikeouts, 16 in a game. He's done that 3 times. For Dwight Gooden, he was the number 5th pick in the nation in the draft, and that goes back a ways to 1982. The people who were drafted ahead of him are kind of interesting. Sean Dunston of the Cubs, but then Augie Schmidt by Toronto, Jimmy Jones by San Diego, Brian Olkers by Minnesota, and then the Mets had a chance, and they came up with a gold mine.
Great fastball, good curveball. I guess his only weakness is, they say, well, he has trouble holding men on, but I go to our good friend Sandy Koufax, says yes, but he has a great ability to keep him off bases. I would think that what he'll have to do is to establish the curveball and then use that fastball to do that, but when he's in a jam, it'll be the fastball he goes to. It should be quite a battle, and it begins with the American League's leading hitter, Wade Boggs, against Dwight Gooden.
Dwight Gooden in the National League anyway has a ratio of 3-to-1 fastballs to breaking balls, and Boggs loves hard stuff. So let's see. He starts him with the fastball, and the battle is joined.
Wade Boggs makes that mental picture, and he's got Mike Moore of Seattle in mind, who pitches similar to Gooden. Not the same, but similar.
0-1. Ground ball to the right side, plugging the hole up with a nice reach is Backman in the dirt, and they got him anyway.
That was a slow curveball that Wade Boggs was able to pull, and Backman, you see him break to his right. He was breaking towards the middle. It takes a big hop. He's off balance, but Hernandez with that magic glove makes the play. Boggs can pull that slow stuff.
So Wally Backman plugs up the hole on the right side, 1 down, and the batter will be Marty Barrett. Boggs and Barrett were flip-flopped in the lineup on August the 6th. And Boggs hit over 380 from the day that they flip-flopped them and put him in the leadoff spot. Marty, meanwhile, the MVP in the LCS. 1 ball and no strikes. So Wade Boggs retired with Wally Backman taking a base hit away from him. Barrett the hitter and Billy Buckner on deck. Little low, ball 2.
That shot we had on the bench, you could see Gedman really straining to take a look at Goodman and talking to Boggs. This is a very conscientious young man. I remember Fisk saying he just bothered him all the time. He wants to know everything, and I'm sure he wants to know how big did that curveball break, because it looked like a let-up on the curveball. But to Barrett Gooden has thrown nothing but fastballs. 2 good ones. Although he's missed the strike zone.
2 balls and no strikes, the count. And that's in there at the knees, 2-1. It's interesting that Dwight Gooden began the league championship series. He was the loser in that brilliant 1-0 Mike Scott first game. And he went 10 innings and did not have a decision in game 5. First time he ever worked an extra inning game in his career. Ground ball to Backman. Big hop. Got him anyway. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. The infield here at Shea is still hung over from the celebration.
We talked about it last night. There's some bad hops in there, but don't blame the grounds crew. Here's a good close-up out over the plate. He goes to the right side. It hits right at the lip. Keep in mind, they had to put 22 yards of topsoil, some 5,000 square feet of sod, and then they had to grade it. Not only did they tear up the sod, they made holes, and the ground crew really did a great job, but there's some bad hops in there.
Bill Buckner with the bad leg and all. He said he spent the summertime when he had the opportunity watching the New York Mets on cable television, so he is quite familiar with them. Out of the mid of Gary Carter, ball 1, 1-0.
The defense expects Buckner to pull the ball in center field. Dykstra, you can see, is look where he is to the right side. A lot of room in left center field, so they expect him to pull the ball.
And yet, when you look at the American League scouting report, they'll tell you that Buckner loves the alleys. He'll hit from left center anywhere into right center. So we'll see what he does against Gooden. Billy Bucks with 2 out in the first inning, no score. And he hits it foul off third down the line out of play. If you're like I am and you look at this matchup tonight with Gooden and Clemens and you wonder, how do you prepare? Who pitches batting practice on your team? Well, for the Red Sox to get ready for Gooden, 56-year-old Bill Fisher and shortstop Glenn Hoffman. They were pitching batting practice. Who pitched for the Mets to get them ready? Greg Pavlik and Bud Harrelson. 1-1. Line drive, but it's right at Santana. So the Sox are gone in order. Started on a nice play on Wade Boggs' ball by Wally Backman. Here come the Mets. Children, Wally Backman at second base. Keith Hernandez at first and Gary Carter behind the plate. Darryl Strawberry in right field. And you can see a change. Danny Heap is in left. He is an offensive hitter, loves fastballs, and so he's in there for the slumping Mookie Wilson. Howard Johnson, who hit a home run against Roger Clemens when he played for the 1984 Detroit Tigers and bats left-handed. He will be at third base for the slumping Ray Knight. Rafael Santana at short, and the pitcher for the Mets, of course, Dwight Gooden.
Defensively in the outfield, Jim Rice, Henderson, and Evans in right field. The infield is Boggs, Owen, Barrett, and Buckner. The key man here is Buckner. You can bet with Dykstra and Backman 1 and 2. They're going to try to exploit Buckner with the bunt. Dykstra can bunt. Backman a lead cinch pipe to bunt. But keep in mind, Clemens, a great fielder and a great fastball. It's going to be a little tough.
The interesting thing about this 24-game winner, Roger Clemens, people are talking about the fact this will be the 3rd straight time he is working on 3 days rest. However, if you look at the number of pitches expended in his previous 2 times, why, he has lowered them each time. The last game he pitched, he only made 93 pitches. That's a strike. He made a total of 370 pitches in the league championship series, and he comes back on 3 days facing Dykstra. The Mets have been unable to get their game's leadoff hitter on base in any of the postseason games, and that's hit foul down the line on the count 0-2.
Clemens with an exceptional fastball, a nasty slider is the way they describe it, curveball and a forkball. He may throw 10 or 15 times a game, but his control, he controls the whole strike zone, up and down, in and out.
0-2 the count to Lenny Dykstra. Fouled away. Dykstra hit 3 leadoff home runs this year. Last night they had Mookie Wilson leading off. He hit 3 this year. Dykstra, the kid they call Nails. 0-2. Got him. And so Roger Clemens announces his presence at Shea Stadium as he strikes out Lenny Dykstra. Remember, Clemens
dazzled the baseball world when he struck out 20 Seattle Mariners without walking a hitter.
And that's the pitch that if the Mets will try to hit it, they're going to be in deep trouble. It's the high fastball. He'll get that first strike, and then he'll just climb the ladder. Backman, who can really bunt, but it's going to be tough. Once again, Clemens a good fielder, and it's really tough to bunt that bullet that Clemens throws. He'll try to drag it past him to exploit Buckner's bad wheels.
Boggs in on the grass at third, and the pitch at trifle high, ball one. One other thing, and there's no reason to point it out except it's a fact. You have Roger Clemens, the pride of the University of Texas, on the mound. The plate umpire is Jim Evans. Jim Evans, a graduate of the University of Texas. Fouled away. 1-1.
All fastballs. He's rearing back, and there's one thing about him as we look at Davy Johnson. You talk to Bill Fisher, McNamara, the players, they said Roger Clemens comes right at you. The first pitch that Backman laid off is the one that they're going to have to lay off, but it's a tough pitch because it looks so good. High fastball.
1-1. Just to keep Boggs on the move, 2 balls and 1 strike. When he bunts, he's very successful. In fact, this year, Backman was 10 for 20 when he bunted.
He worked with Bobby Valentine when Valentine was the coach here, and he said he used to bunt at least 100 balls a day, and they had a system worked out. Valentine would sit at first base with his legs spread and let Backman bunt that. He said he bunted 1,000 balls, he'd have been safe on 900 of them. You talk about confidence.
Yeah, he's not very shy on that, is he?
Not at all.
2-1 to Wally Backman. Out of Oregon, and the big Texan after him, 2-1. On the corner, 2-2. Jim Evans, by the way, the plate umpire, played baseball at the University of Texas, so it's kind of an alumni meeting with Roger on the mound, Evans behind the plate, Spike Owen at short, and Calvin Schiraldi in the bullpen. Two balls and 2 strikes to Wally Backman. Fouled away, and boy, he was overpowered on that one. He didn't get around on it.
And when you talk about Clemens' fastball, he'll go with a riding fastball, and he can sink it. So far, he has really not let the Mets see anything but that real hard stuff.
2-2. There's a breaking ball. First one he's thrown, and he missed inside. Little slider. 3-2. So Backman trying to get aboard with Keith Hernandez on deck, to be followed by Gary Carter. Three and 2. And he walked him, and that'll wake up the ballpark. So you have Backman at first, Buckner coming over to hold him on, and Keith Hernandez coming up. Hernandez, definitely the leader on this ball club.
Very much so. He's the one who gave him a little bit of a pep talk before the game, a motivational kind of thing, because the papers and everybody talking about a slump, and then something appeared in the paper about some of the Red Sox players saying that this is a club that won 108 games. It didn't set too well.
And you can sure Keith tried to use that quote. We'll see now if he can use the bat. Backman at first, 1 out in the first inning, no score. Fastball that got away from Gedman, not far enough, and holding on is Backman with a left-hand hitter up there, while he might have lost sight of the ball for the split second and decided to hold.
They have Clemens timed his delivery to the plate, his first move to the plate, between 1.23 and 1.39. That's towards the plate. They have Gedman time between 1.87 and 2.8. Contact to contact. When that ball hits his mitt, that's how long it takes him to get rid of it. You talk about down to the fine points.
Backman just underneath Buckner's tag. You know how you can sum up Roger Clemens' year without getting into numbers? How about this? He lost his first game early in July. He lost his last game early in August. And that was it. 1 ball, no strikes.
Remember yesterday on our broadcast, Davey talked about that Hurst and Clemens have balk moves. He made no bones about it. It's a good move, and he's got Backman diving back.
You know, it's a horrifying thought if you're a National League hitter, other than the Mets. The Mets drafted Dwight Gooden in 1982. And as you watch Backman, how about this thought? The Mets drafted Roger Clemens in 1981, but he opted to stay in college. High pop fly, twisting down the left field line, curling towards the seats and back in, out of play. Gives Hernandez another swing. There are auxiliary seats, box seats, which are to the advantage of the hitter. It cuts down foul territory, and they were rather important in the recent LCS with Houston. So that might have been playable early in the year, but not now, and we'll see what Hernandez does with the break. 1 ball and 1 strike. Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden. What a marquee tonight. Backman held on by Buckner.
Hernandez is a hitter. It's tough for a catcher with him up there. He's pretty straight up. He kind of screens you, and you'll need some help from the bench if Backman breaks.
Still 1-1. Keith Hernandez hits and run, but only occasionally. That's the best way you can put it. They just as soon keep the first baseman anchored on the bag and give him the hole on the right side. Meanwhile, Clemens has thrown over 4 times to try and take a little bit off Wally Backman at first.
He's got a good move. This is the last one. Backman is back easily, and the confidence on the mound now is, I'm sure, one of those things. Hey, look, it's okay to keep throwing over there, but don't lose your concentration now and worry about the runner more than you do the hitter.
So he has made 2 pitches to the plate, 1 ball, 1 strike, and 4 throws to first. 1 out, first inning, no score. If you joined us a wee bit late, the Sox went out in order. Boggs lost a hit on a good play by Backman. And he goes. Shortstop covers the throw down. They got him, and easily. Spike Owen opened up the left side, and Rick Gedman does it again.
He makes a good throw. He kind of broke back. You see that left foot as he started for second base. He didn't get real good footing. Gedman got rid of that ball in great shape. Watch him now. He's almost 3/4, and he gets some more on that ball than you think he does. And actually, Owens had to wait for Backman. That was a sensational throw.
Right on the money from Rich Gedman. And, of course, he had a good pitch to handle it, good fastball. Now the pitch is high, ball 3 to Keith Hernandez. 3-1.
Infielders love that ball when they get it and just drop their glove. They love it.
Remember, Keith led the National League in walks, though he's a very patient and selective hitter. 3-1. Meanwhile, Wally Backman muttering to himself. Cut down at second base. 2 out in the inning. No score, first inning. And he has a look for ball 4. So back-to-back walks. But you have 2 out, a runner at first, and Gary Carter coming up. Clemens high in walks this year. He walked 6 in a game.
But the amazing thing in that game, when he struck out 20, he didn't walk anyone.
So here's Gary Carter, struggling with the bat, as you know. Nevertheless, representing a threat. What the Red Sox do is they fill up the middle. Marty Barrett is over to his right. Spike Owen is deep and slightly to his left. Carter, certainly in the postseason play, has been hitting the ball up the middle at all. And last night, he broke his bat while singling up the middle to center. Ball 1.
I asked him about that. I said, it looked like hit off the end of the bat. He said, I thought I hit it pretty good. It was a brand new bat. It just exploded as you take a look at that defense. Gedman constantly checking with his bench. You can see him taking a look. He wants to know if they want to put a play on.
1 ball and no strikes to Gary Carter. Big one foul outside of third and down the line. Well, nice play. Holding on, Hernandez.
Vin, that shot that we just had from center field, I found interesting because when Gedman gave his target, I just looked at it and I said, I wonder if he can reach that outside part of the plate with the stance that Gary Carter's using.
Tell you another thing, Gedman was gesturing over to the dugout and raising his leg. Perhaps they're trying to get Roger Clemens to lower his kick and speed up his move to the plate a little bit. Ball 2, 2-1. I'll tell you one thing, and that's what Gedman's going out to talk about. When a pitcher is high, like Rich Gedman, ideally, as a pitcher is delivering, as his knee comes up, the pitcher is taking the ball out of his glove. If he is carrying the ball, in other words, as his hands are together when the knee comes up, if he carries the ball in the glove, then his arm is too late in his follow-through. He hurries and he's high. And I think that's what Bill Fisher was telling Gedman to tell him. You've got to get the ball out of your glove when you raise your knee.
That, and the other trouble spot is that left shoulder. Fisher said he watches that. If he gets wild high, it's because he's opening too soon.
2-1 to count. Breaking ball, and that's high. Ball 3, 3-1. Take a look at his motion and see if he is, quote, carrying the ball, unquote. Now watch the knee. See, the ball is still in the glove. And that's his problem. And that's one of the big problems that Fisher is always looking for. And that's the exact expression he uses, carrying the ball. 3-1. Breaking ball, and that time he got it over. 3-2.
He carried that baby right in there.
So Hernandez will be going on the pitch. 2 down, first inning, no score. On deck, Darryl Strawberry. So if you Carter, even though he just came in with that slow curveball for a strike, I would think you're looking fastball.
Yeah, with 2 strikes, he better be looking baseball.
Hernandez ready and goes. Fastball, and it's hit in the air to left center. Moving over is Henderson to make the play. So Hernandez is left at first. Clemens fights his way out of the jam, and Gary Carter shakes his head and chews his gum.
Well, it makes no difference. I'll come in relief tomorrow's game if they want me to. In this type of situation, the World Series game, rest is not going to make a difference. It's going to be a lot of adrenaline flowing, and whether your arm's tired or not, you're not going to know it. You're just going to have to stay fundamentally sound and throw the ball where you're supposed to throw it and keep it in the strike zone. Strength-wise, it's going to be adrenaline.
And I'm sure it's flowing for Roger as he now talks with his manager down in the dugout. And it's also flowing for Dwight Gooden, ready to pitch to Jim Rice, Dwight Evans, and Rich Gedman.
The average number of pitches for a Red Sox pitcher, according to Bill Fisher, is 15. Clemens made 22, 11 strikes, 11 balls. They'll be watching that.
Rice takes off, ball 1, 1-0. Top of the second inning, no score in the ball game. Jim with big numbers, as usual. Ball 2, 2-0. Dwight Gooden had only 38 games in the minor leagues before he came up. And early in his career, he was at a stage where he had won 9 and lost 8. He's in the dirt. Ball 2, 2-1. He went from 9 and 8 since that time to win 49 and lose 11. He has become an Olympian, this kid who came to the Mets in the year of the Olympics in '84. 200 strikeouts this year. He is the only pitcher in the National League to have 200 or more strikeouts in his first 3 years. And when you realize he's not even 22, he is truly remarkable. That's in there. For instance, when they were 22, Spahn, Alexander, and Cy Young didn't have any wins. Walter Johnson had 32, Christy Mathewson had 29, and Dwight is 158. Kid Nichols, the old Boston team back in 1890, had 57. The point being that Gooden is already off to a tremendous start. You knew the temperature was going to be warmer with all the heat we're going to look at tonight. Gooden and Clemens. 3-2 to Jim Rice. Bad swing on a bad ball, and he's mad at himself.
He knew that was a bad ball, high and tight. Gooden, when he delivers it, watch him look away. He looks away there, and he doesn't pick up that plate until a little bit late, and there you see it.
By the way, since we see Jim Rice strike out, there's a little note. People will profit as to what happens tonight. Rice going down on strikes, and the hitter will be Dwight Evans. There's a firm that makes baseball bats. Breaking ball is down and low. There's also a firm that makes gloves. And the company that makes gloves, they have Rice and Gooden as endorsers of that glove. So Spalding will give 16 gloves to youth organization when Rice strikes out, because that's Gooden's numbers. So 16 gloves are on the way to the kids. If Rice gets a base hit, since he wears number 14, 14 gloves will go to the kids. So no matter what happens with Rice and Gooden, if there's a strikeout or a hit, the kids will profit by it.
I hope next year Gooden changes it to 166, his number, and Rice 144.
2-0, the count to Dwight Evans. Crowding him inside and finding the corner anyway. The plate umpire, Jim Evans, held up that right hand. The scoreboard went 3-0, but we have to believe the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Evans is the best 3-0 hitter on the club. So let's see. That's a strike. It should be 3-1. Okay, he held his right hand up after he evidently called it ball 3, and the count 3-1. Dewey was second in the American League in walks behind Boggs. And he's on. Gooden's high, like Clemens, 6 walks in a game. And those are the fellows with the eye for the strike zone in the American League.
Number 10.
Both these pitchers, when they get in trouble, they have a pitch they go to, and I tell you, you don't need a radar gun to know what it is. You can do it by sound. It is their fastball.
Well, Rich Gedman, who catches him, will now try to hit him. And remember, he is that rare left-hand hitter who likes the high ball.
Which is a change for him, Ben.
Little nubber up along first base and foul.
The reason I say that, I was asking today, and they said when he hit all the home runs, he was kind of swinging up at the ball with a little bit of uppercut, which is a Ted Williams kind of how you teach. And then with Walt Riniak and Charlie Lowther, he swings down at the ball, and his home run production came down, and that makes him a little bit better hitter with the high pitch, but his power's been cut down.
That's one of the problems when you're learning to hit the Charlie Lau way. Now watch where his weight is. It's going to be on his back leg. Sometimes if you get so much weight on your back leg that you actually feel a little strain on the front of the right leg, it's almost like trying to get up out of a chair. You get up over the ball. Foul back, 0-2. Let's take a look at that swing.
They all get back. Watch that top hand come off. There it is.
And, of course, what it really means, like hitting a golf ball or a baseball or even a tennis ball, the transference of weight. And the K's are out. 0-2 the count. Gooden has struck out 1. Clemens has struck out 1. High bouncer slowly to the right side to Backman. He played that like a rolling hand grenade because of the infield. So Evans at second base with 2 down. And Dave Henderson will be coming up.
Now batting,
if you remember last night, Dave Henderson was the on-deck hitter rushing to home plate to signal to Rice, who was scoring, and he collided head-on with Ron Darling, who was backing up the play. And of all the lines written about it, John Lowe of the Detroit Free Press wrote, "You never know who you'll run into in New York." That summed it up.
John McNamara wants to come out and talk to Jim Evans.
The ball.
I wonder if it's blowing into his mouth or what if they've got that rule.
Let's see. I just read John say ball. And that's what they want to do. They want to look at it.
Look at his hand.
Yeah. Now they're going to call Davy Johnson out, evidently. After all the complaining the Mets did about Mike Scott scuffing the ball, now it is John McNamara calling Dwight Gooden about something to do with the ball or a substance on his hand. Let's see. I remember once a game with Don Drysdale, who wore a copper bracelet because he had an arthritic wrist. And the other team made him take the bracelet off, and people all over Southern California were furious because they thought that was really picking on him.
They kept that ball in play, so it wasn't the ball, whatever he did. And I imagine it's a move of McNamara's to try to get inside Gooden's head.
Well, they were certainly looking at the ball.
He's looking at, is it a piece of tape?
He's talking about rubbing the ball up.
But now the ball, it looks like it's scuffed right in the middle. He's showing him something, or is he? He kept the ball in play, though.
Yep. It was a ground ball. Remember to Wally Backman. He threw to first. They threw it over to Gooden, and then all of a sudden McNamara said something about the ball, and Jim Evans went out there. All right, here's Dave Henderson. Apparently, Dwight Gooden had a small piece of tape on his finger, and they asked him to take it off. The umpires have allowed the pitchers to go to their mouths on the mound, blowing on their hands because of the cool weather. 0-1 to count to Dave Henderson. Fouled away a little late. Hindu had 15 home runs during the regular year. He's got some sock.
I tell you, if Dwight Gooden starts to scuff up the ball as hard as he throws, I think I'd call and get a subpoena and go out and look at him.
You know, there was a little bit of byplay last night when Chub Feeney, the National League president, threw the ball to Gary Carter. He examined it as if he thought the throw ball might have been scuffed up. 0-2. High fly ball into right center. Lenny Dykstra has to run it down, and he's there. So they leave Dwight Evans in the second inning. A bit of controversy by the boards. No score at the end of an inning and a half. Three and two. Fouled away again, and he's making Clemens work, and the number of pitches keeps mounting up.
Yes, it does, but he missed his pitch that time, Roger Clemens did. You saw Gedman go low inside. That's been the target inside that Strawberry has not been sure of in the playoffs and here in the World Series. And Gedman, that was the first time they went inside, and looked like he started to lean that time to go inside. Watch Gedman as he does it late, so you can't pick it up, but he'll tip it off.
Remember, he's got a big strike zone there. Strawberry's 6'6". Got him, and it continues. For Darryl Strawberry, he has to be worrying now and pressing, and that's the 15th time he has struck out, and he's muttering to himself.
And it's just a pure, hard fastball, and I mean, he cuts it loose right down the center of the plate and just overpowers him.
One away, and the batter will be Danny Heap, a very aggressive hitter. One thing about Heap, he's the boy who was traded for Mike Scott. He doesn't get cheated up there. Strike.
Funny kid, man. He saw Kevin Mitchell's autograph. He said it looks like an EKG. He's a pretty good jockey.
One away, second inning, no score. We told you in his 3 postseason games, he made 370 pitches. However, he reduced them each time from 143 to the last time where he made only 93. So he's reasonably rested on 3 days. High drive to dead center. Back goes Henderson, away back to the track and hauls it in. A thoroughly big league play because he turned his back on the ball and went after it. And it's a tricky park.
Well, he was talking about the outfield out there. He had a little bit of trouble when he turned. He finds it. Look at him. Watch his footing. He wasn't sure of the footing. Glad to get on that warning track. You see him look straight down. Every pitcher has one part of the park they call their out pitch, where they want to have the guy hit it. And it's pretty obvious. The out place here is dead center field. 410 dead center.
Danny Heap shakes his head after a long out to center, and the batter is Howard Johnson, a member of the world champion Detroit Tigers in '84. And Davy Johnson remembered that Howard Johnson had homered against Clemens 2 years ago. It's a long time ago, but he's got a left-handed bat in there instead of Ray Knight. 0-1. Change, foul back.
Tell you, when Gedman gives that sign to Clemens and he puts that glove there like that first fastball, he didn't have to move it. You get a guy like that, you could catch him with a pair of pliers.
They don't hang out the K signs, but Roger has him 0-2. And the curveball. I'll tell you one thing, if you were in the business to manufacture those K cards, you could retire and move to the south of France with these two guys. Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden.
The K corner,
Yeah.
they got signs all over the place.
0-2 to Hojo, as they call him. On deck, Rafael Santana. One and two. On deck, Rafael Santana. Fidgety as a cat.
Ooh.
Boy, that fastball really sailed high. 2-2.
Did you see where that target was? Because Clemens is a guy who pitches to a target. And those are things when you go back to the benches. We look at Carter and Hernandez and Stottlemyre, and they're talking, obviously, he's talking about the fastball riding high. Gedman will go back to the bench and say, hey, boy, he really missed with that one. Let's watch him.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
He wanted him to shake him off. He wants it to happen right here. He doesn't want to go 3-2.
And there he is, high wild again. 3-2. And the pitches mount up. We'll see if they take a toll. Clemens muttering for a moment. Meanwhile, John McNamara wondering just how much can this young star take. And Davy Johnson wondering about his kid Gooden and how he'll do. 3-2. Fouled away.
Breaking ball. The good pitcher will make it happen 2-2. He'll put good stuff on it 2-2, because when that hitter takes you deep 3-2, you're really kind of asking for it. And Clemens and Gooden, who we're looking at, both of them, they usually make it happen for 3-2. This is the 4th 3-2 count he's had.
Fouled away. You realize what great raw natural talents they are. Dwight Gooden only 38 games in the minor leagues. Roger Clemens had only 19 minor league games under his belt, and they burst upon the scene. 3-2. If Gooden were pitching and you hear the crowd, they'd want to strike out. Now with Clemens, you hear the crowd, they want to walk. 3-2. Got him, and that is strikeout number 3 for Roger. And at the end of 2, no score. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. And brought to you by Prestone, makers of Prestone 2 antifreeze. Don't push your luck, change it with fresh Prestone. And by Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else? A beautiful evening in New York. A bright harvest moon hovering over Shea Stadium, and 2 stars down on the ground. Dwight Gooden and Roger Clemens. And it'll be Spike Owen, followed by Roger Clemens, and then Wade Boggs. Top of the 3rd, no score. Ball 1.
It's interesting when a left-hand hitter comes up who is a pull hitter. Owens is not. Carter, on a pull hitter, you can see his fingers below his body, so Backman can see him and pass him on to Hernandez. But Keith is way wide of first base, and he can see the signs.
That's in there for a strike. 1-1.
Backman tells Hernandez, and Santana tells the third baseman, whoever it is, there you see Wally, on the slow curveball, the off-speed pitch. That's what Keith wants to know with the left-hand batter up there. And Backman is the, well, what, control center?
Right. 1-1 to Spike. He's staying with the fastball, and it's hit foul down the line. One of the words in the American League, they say Owen can't handle a breaking ball. When you have a fastball like Gooden, you challenge him with that.
Not to belabor the point, but just by comparison, watch Carter when he gives the sign with Owens, and we got Boggs coming up. I would almost bet that you'd be able to see the fingers down below the body with Boggs. Gary doing a little politicking.
Gooden, and of course, comparison has to be made tonight. Has struck out 1, and Clemens has struck out 3. And Gary hanging out a sign for all the world. 1 finger, is that a fastball on the knuckles?
2-2.
Not very much changes. Fastball 1 is a curveball is 2.
One big change about Dwight Gooden with a 2-strike count on Spike Owen. His strikeout ratio per 9 innings has changed in his 3 years, from 11 to 9, and this year to 7. Off speed, tried to change on him. 3-2.
The last sign you see is the one he's going to get. And he's pretty well protecting it because Owens is not going to pull that ball. Hernandez is way off first base, so he can really look in to see Gary Carter's sign himself. You get a pull hitter up there, though, and he'll have to get it from Wally.
Well, looks like the fastball, 3-2. There it is for ball 4. That is the second walk. And although Dwight Gooden probably doesn't know it, Spike Owen hit only 138 against American League right-hand pitchers this year.
And you know that Roger Clemens will be bunting on the strength of what Hurst did last night. Now, Gooden is talking, and he wants to know who's covering, and they're going to protect everything. And when they took batting practice, the one thing that the pitchers were bearing down on is bunt the ball. Third base, Johnson is already moving in, and you can bet Hernandez has set up his thing with Gooden. He'll be charging in.
The last time, to our knowledge, that Roger Clemens swung a bat was in his junior year at the University of Texas. And you might be interested what his batting average was. He was not a big man on campus with the bat. Got the bunt down, but there's Hernandez. A one-hopper to Santana that gets away. A bad throw by Hernandez, and he didn't have to hurry it that much. And now the Red Sox are in business, first and second, and nobody out.
That's the thing that surprises you. Look at Hernandez. He knows he's going to get the bunt, and he's going to take it right away from Gooden. He should set himself, but he threw it on a run for some reason. A one-hopper that could not be handled, and he had plenty of time, so that really comes as a surprise, and he really has to be upset with himself.
That's such an easy play for a left-handed first baseman. There was no reason to jump in the air and throw, and now you can see his reaction to a bad play on his part.
Yep. He knew he made a bad play.
Now he has dug a hole. For his pitcher, first and second, nobody out. Boggs, Barrett, and Buckner coming up. The error charge to Hernandez, of course, and the fastball a strike. Remember, Boggs lost a hit on a good play by Wally Backman, plugging up the hole in the first inning.
Last night, he took the swing he wanted to and hit a line drive to the shortstop, and he pulled a slow curveball. If he gets any off-speed pitch, he's got a big gap. Backman is cheating towards second base, but the fastball, he's going to go from the center to left field.
0-1. Fastball, he was late on it, and the count 0-2.
He waits on that pitch.
No balls and 2 strikes. One thing they say about Boggs, and they're all superlatives, you can see Hernandez, he's talking to the first base umpire, Harry Wendelstedt, just trying to get it out of his craw. Boggs is the best 2-strike hitter on the Sox, but I guess he's the best 1-strike, 1-ball, or you name it hitter.
His favorite count is 2-2.
Led the majors in hitting 3 of the last 4 years. Fouled away, and that was a protective swing. It was a fastball on the outside part of the plate. You talk about hitting a ball out of the catcher's mitt. That's just about what he did, and that's why he's such a great hitter.
That's right. When he gets the count of 3-2, the pitcher's in the hole. That was the emergency swing. You only swing in case of emergency.
0-2 the count. Gooden with 1 strikeout. Got a bad play by Hernandez, so now he's struggling. And that's hit down the left field line. It is in there. Fair ball and going in the corner. In comes Owen. To third goes Clemens on a double by Boggs. And the Red Sox lead the Mets 1-0 in the 3rd inning. And make no mistake about it, the atmosphere here in New York has changed dramatically from what it was before the start of the first game.
Watch him go with the pitch. He was going that way all along. He programs himself. There's the base hit. Fair by a couple feet. The day before, he works it out, and then with Walt Riniak, his guru, he sits with him, and before the game starts, he has a mental picture of 4 swings and the perfect swing, and he compares it to a pitcher who he has faced. Now, we said earlier, it's Mike Moore of Seattle who comes closest in Wade Boggs' mind to Dwight Gooden as far as delivery.
Well, with runners at second and third, nobody out. The error by Hernandez, a big play. Here's Marty Barrett. Breaking ball, ball one. There was almost a defiant air in New York from the fans, particularly, of how good the Mets were. They were Destiny's darlings, and they were going to, in some quarters, even sweep the Red Sox. But the Red Sox feel that they have a chunk of destiny going for them. And when they won 1-0 last night, all of a sudden the city of New York was not quite so sure. 1-0. And that's hit into right field, and that's a base hit. In comes Clemens, holding at third. Will be Boggs, and you have first and third, 2-0 Red Sox in the top of the third inning.
And once again, it's Marty Barrett who's in the middle of it. And Johnson motioning that we're going to try to get to. The big base hit by Boggs gets us started, and Barrett, one of those guys, just comes up and keeps it going. And you knew he was going to get a piece of that ball, and he was going to hit it to the right side and right side deep. If he gets a ground ball, they were going to pick up a run. I tell you, the playoffs and the World Series have really shown what a good ball player that Barrett is.
And what a fine club the Red Sox are. As we mentioned at the outset, in history, only 6 teams down 3-1 won the postseason contest. Pittsburgh and Washington in 1925, the Yankees in 1958, Detroit against the Cardinals, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and of course last year, Kansas City at Toronto and Kansas City against St. Louis. Well, here come the Red Sox. 2-0 Boston, and Bill Buckner trying to really drive one into Gooden with first and third and nobody out. Buckner lined to Santana in the first inning. Ball one. Buckner, of course, with the bad legs, was second in the major leagues and led the Red Sox in grounding into double plays, 25. And if you remember, he hit into a double play in the first inning last night. He's wearing those high-top shoes, and he has vowed to never play another game without wearing them. 1 ball and no strikes. Off speed, and it's hit into right field for the base hit. In comes Boggs. Stopping at second is Barrett. And for a slumping New York Mets team, they're down 3-0.
That slow curveball really surprises me because they had the gap between first and second, and it's really the one pitch that he can pull. Now, Hernandez kind of guarding that line, but it's in the hole. Boy, I would think they'd go with Smoke.
No, I'll tell you one thing about it, Joe. I do know that one of the scouting reports said if you throw changes and off-speed stuff to Buckner, he will hit a ground ball. And they're thinking of the double play, but instead he singled to right.
Yeah, but when you got that big gap between first and second, and talking to Hernandez before the game, that's the one thing he wants to protect against is that slow curveball. With the man on, he can't get off that far. That's the one ball you can pull, and you're looking for the ground ball, granted, but I think with Gooden, I don't think I'd throw him that lollipop curveball.
Well, it is 3-0 Red Sox in the top of the third. They have 3 consecutive hits after the error by Hernandez. A double by Boggs, a single by Barrett, a single by Buckner, and now here's Jim Rice. Barrett at second and Buckner at first, and still, remember, nobody out.
Watch the first pitch.
That's his style. First pitch fastball on a towering drive to right. The runner at second, Barrett, will tag. Strawberry for the catch, and Barrett will move over to third. Buckner, of course, staying at first. So Rice a long out to right, but he does pick up one man 90 feet.
The reason you say that, after all that, you think that maybe the young pitcher will be thinking about the slow curveball, the bouncing ball. It could have been a double play, and it wasn't, and the run is in and all that. You say he might just let up a little bit to get ahead of me, and a good hitter like Rice not going to let you do that.
A very, very somber and quiet and less than optimistic New York Mets bench. It is 3-0 Red Sox in the third for a team that hit 189 against Houston, and for a team that was shut out last night, and a team that has failed to score in the first 2 innings tonight. They're carrying around a heavy weight. Here's Dwight Evans. And that off-speed slow curveball for a strike, 0-1. Standing at third is Marty Barrett. Bill Buckner over at first. 1 away. 3-0 Boston, top of the third. And a breaking ball, and he was over anxious and chased a bad one.
Now, that was the curveball. That was a hard curveball. Now, you throw that to Buckner, and I can't second guess that. But that lollipop rainbow American Legion job, you got to wonder.
0-2 the count to Dwight Evans. 3 runs in the bank for Boston, and they have runners at first and third with 1 out. 0-2. Time. Gooden began the inning with a walk. And then, of course, the bad play by Hernandez. Then Boggs doubled and singles by Barrett and Buckner. Fastball, and that takes care of him. Foul tipped and held by Gary Carter. That's the second out, and it's also the second strikeout for Dwight Gooden, whose high this year was 13 in a game against Pittsburgh.
Target's right down the middle, and that's where it was. Just a good hard fastball.
So with 2 down, Rich Gedman the batter. Gedman grounded out in the second inning. Buckner at first, Barrett at third. Hernandez behind Buckner. He's not going to hold him on. Little heat away, ball 1, 1-0. Gedman swinging a big bat and carrying a gun. He's done a great job on enemy base runners. 1 ball and no strikes. 2-0. After Gedman, you have the center fielder Dave Henderson. Fastball fouled away. Tim Tuffle was very careful and did a very good job in interviews after the game last night. The kid who committed the error at second base and bent the game. And he was talking about the crowd here at Shea. And he said, I don't want to sound like I'm imitating Yogi Berra. But he said, you hear this crowd even when it's quiet. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't remember it being any more quiet than it is last night and again tonight. 2-1. Fouled away, 2-2.
There was the classic Charlie Lau, Walt Winiak swing. When he finished up, the hand was off and the bat was way back in the air. Watch it. Watch that top hand come off and watch that bat.
Yeah, we saw it last night until finally somebody hit Carter in the coconut.
That happens all the time. I think Bob Brenly, the catcher, had the best. He said, catching all year, when you go home at the end of the year, you feel like a used car.
Is it true you caught without a helmet? 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I won't answer that.
Almost got a piece of him. And what it's going to do, and it's not much of an advantage, but when you have a one-legged runner, it's an edge. On a full count and 2 down, Buckner will be going. It might be a long trip, but he'll be going.
It gives him a chance to kickstart his body is what it does.
Barrett down the line from third. Buckner ready to go at first. 3-2 to Rich Gedman and 2 out. 3-0 Boston, top of the third. Oh, the big Uncle Charlie, or as they say with Dwight Gooden when they talk about the curve, Lord Charles. But it's 3-0 Red Sox. Did you notice that harvest moon up there in the sky? That harvest moon, so far at least, it's been the Red Sox doing the harvesting. And they're leading 3-0 in the bottom of the third.
And there it is. Vin, when you mentioned air traffic, Keith Hernandez was holding a seminar on how to judge how the wind blows by how the planes land. And he was telling us if they've come overhead, the wind's blowing to left field. I couldn't believe it. Usually you just throw up some grass, but he says it swirls here, so you go by the airplanes.
Well, Rafael Santana will try and get started with Dwight Gooden on deck, and it's a strike. Roger Clemens probably shocked the nation, not to mention what he did to his own system and to the city of Boston when he blew a 3-0 lead in the 9th inning to the California Angels. 1-1. The Mets in the third. 3-0 Boston. Santana will bunt, and he will either drag or push sometimes, and the infield is back. Foul back. However, if you are a bunter, you would much rather bunt on a breaking ball, and here you got a guy with high heat. He doesn't figure to get many chances to lay him down.
It's going to be tough. We mentioned, especially with Dykstra and Bachman, excellent bunters. Roger, in addition to throwing hard, he's a good fielder who protects his position.
1-2 the count to Rafael Santana. Fouled away. Santana, yet another youngster coming from the Dominican Republic to play in the big leagues. You can call off a litany of names. One of 8 major league shortstops from the Dominican. Mariano Duncan, Jose Uribe, Tony Fernandez, Rafael Ramirez, Julio Franco, Alfredo Griffin, and Andres Thomas, all from the Dominican Republic. Fastball hit over the mound off the glove of Clemens, deflected to Owen, who has trouble throwing it. It's too late. And the ball pops out of Buckner's mitt anyway, but Spike Owen double clutched and still couldn't get it.
It was deflected by Clemens, and that's what made the difference. He couldn't get the ball out of his webbing. Watch it. Just enough. And he really threw a palm ball over there is what he did. He really couldn't get anything on it. Kind of a funny hop, and he couldn't get a good grip on it, and it just kind of lobbed over there, an infield fly throw.
The interesting now with Dwight Gooden, he's not a bad hitting pitcher at all. The National League, they like to keep the ball down on him. He is also a good bunter. He has sacrificed 13 times, and that's what they want him to do in the air. Off the glove of Buckner. He is not going to have a play.
He pushed that ball. He tried to make the catch, and when he saw himself falling, and they're certainly going to bunt it towards Buckner's way, it was not a good bunt, but perfect with the results.
And suddenly the Mets and their fans come alive on 2 infield singles, one off the glove of Clemens, and now the bunt to Buckner. And Davy Johnson rubbing his eyes, hoping the Mets will wake up offensively. And Lenny Dykstra, followed by Wally Bachman. 3-0 Boston.
The big meeting on the mound, you're going to try to set up a defense, and Dykstra, a tough man to double up. We got it going.
John McNamara placidly looking on. He is not one to show much emotion. In fact, you alluded to the quiet Marine, Gil Hodges, last night.
He runs that ball club, and Davy Johnson has put his play on. Bobs is expecting a bunt. He's kind of moving in there. Dykstra can do most anything. Fake the bunt and hit it down there. I don't know if he's bunting. I would not be looking for it.
Santana at second, Gooden at first, nobody out. And he's going to bunt. That's a good one. Over to get it is Boggs. The throw to Buckner got him. However, he runs his mutters along, and there are second and third with one out, and Wally Bachman coming up.
He was bunting for the base hit, and it was a beauty executed because it took a good play by Boggs. Watch this. Boggs is back. Dykstra thinks right between Clemens and Boggs. Good play by Boggs.
They'll rule out a sacrifice to advance the runners. And now with second and third, as Dykstra has moved them up a notch, the batter will be Wally Bachman, followed by Keith Hernandez. Santana at third, Gooden at second. Remember, all last night, we marveled at how the Mets failed to challenge Buckner with bunts. Well, it has already put the Mets in an offensive position here in the third, but the Red Sox lead 3-0.
And the ball hasn't left the infield.
Ball one.
This is a kind of an inning that could get a ball club started.
And Buckner is deep on the right side. He can't afford to charge a left-hand hitter if you think that Backman can pull. And remember, he was second in the National League in sacrifices, so you know how well he bunt. San Francisco's Rob Thompson led the league. Fisted, foul down the left field line and slicing well out of play. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. In the inning, Santana, a high hopper over the mound. Off the glove of Clemens, grabbed by Spike Owen, who had trouble with it, threw late to first. Gooden bunted, a little pop bunt. Buckner, a sprawling attempt, and couldn't handle it. Dykstra bunted them along. So 3-0 Boston. Second and third, 1 out, and Clemens trying to drill Backman. 1-1. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. In comes Santana, and they're going to hold Gooden at third. Bud Harrelson down the line to stop Dwight, and that will bring up the man whose error contributed so heavily in the top of the third, Keith Hernandez.
Backman, who uses the middle of the diamond, he figures if I hit late, it's going to be a base hit. If I hit early, it's a base hit. If I hit it perfectly, right back up the middle. Hernandez's error was the Mets' second error, and here it is. They committed only 1 error in the championship series. There's his throw.
And that's the play he wants to forget right now as he checks in against Roger Clemens. Dwight Gooden down the line from third. Wally Backman at first. 1 out and 1 in. That's the fork ball in there for a strike, and the count 0-1. Gooden down the line from third. Backman held on by Buckner. 1 away. Al Nipper is up in the Red Sox bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nipper was up same time yesterday, back of Bruce Hurst. There's Al. One and 1 to count to Keith Hernandez. Hernandez walked in the first inning. He wants a birthday present early. He'll be 33 tomorrow. Little foul off third. It will not be playable.
When you look at this inning, Vin, you can see why when you scout this Mets ball club, you say you got to keep that Dykstra and Backman off the bases because they are the table setters. They are the catalysts. They make it happen. Dykstra trying to beat out the bunnies. Even with the out, he picks up a couple bases. Backman comes up, he gets the base hit. Now the big guys are up there.
1 and 2, the count to Keith Hernandez. Remember, Clemens has struck out 3. He has walked 2, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fastball hit off the leg of Clemens. Over to get it is Boggs. Off balance throw, got him. And a fine play by Wade Boggs. Scoring is Gooden. It is now Red Sox 3, Mets 2. Oh, what a wonderful play by Boggs to be able to react like that. And the first question is, Clemens all right? He took a lick.
And Boggs has to barehand that play. I tell you keep talking about his hitting, but he's worked hard on his fielding. And last night he made the play of the game, and he makes a beauty right here.
So Gooden brings in a run to aid his own cause. We'll take another look and see where it hits Clemens on the inside of the left shoe, although he did get his glove down. It's a 1-5-3 out thanks to Boggs. The tying run is now at second with 2 out, and trying to pick him up, Gary Carter. The Mets had gone 11 innings failing to score, and now break that with a deuce here in the third. Big bouncer smothered by Boggs, who makes the play.
What a clinic he put on this inning.
So the Mets are bogged down, but they do come up with 2. And at the end of 3, the Red Sox 3, the Mets 2. time. A big home run, and it's happy time in the Red Sox dugout.
That's the kind of home runs Ralph Kiner used to hit. High, towering jobs that just went on and on. You could show movies on them as they went out towards the fence.
0-1 to count. Good breaking ball, strike 2. With Gooden and Clemens, and you think about some of the great matchups, starting with Red Ruffing versus Carl Hubble, and Bob Feller against Johnny Sain, Warren Spahn and Whitey Ford, and Sandy Koufax and Whitey Ford, and Bob Gibson and Denny McClain, and Tom Seaver and Catfish Hunter, just to mention a few. Ground ball up the middle. So here come the Sox. They come right back after the Mets. A home run followed by a single, and Roger Clemens coming up in what would appear to be another bunt situation.
And that's exactly what Hernandez is going to tell Dwight Gooden as we look at Mel Stottlemyre and Davy Johnson. Hernandez, who sets up a couple plays, if he's going to go in and go back for a possible pickoff, he'll tell him which pitch, like maybe on the second pitch or whatever. But I guarantee you they'll be charging hard this time.
It was interesting, too. We take a shot at Mel Stottlemyre after we're talking about great matchups. Stottlemyre, the pitching coach for the Mets, went up against Bob Gibson 3 times in the '64 World Series. You draw the aces if you're a good pitcher. And he wound up 1-1 with the great Gibby. So Clemens looking to bunt. Howard Johnson on the grass at third. Hernandez ready to come to the plate. And that's a little high.
It's going to be tough to bunt it down that first base line. There goes Hernandez again. He's the defensive general, and what he does, he tells him, hey, I'm going to go in, so don't throw to first base, or I'm going to go in a couple steps and I'm going to go back. He leaves nothing to chance.
1 ball and no strikes to Roger Clemens. Nobody out in the 4th. 4-2 Boston. Ball 2. Clemens looking right into the dugout rather than normally at the third base coach, and now he looks at Latch, but he's still looking really into the dugout. And Rene going through the signs.
Got to believe that means absolutely nothing except keep bunting. And Clemens wasn't sure, and he backed out, and Rene had to go through him again.
It's amazing, though, during the course of a year, how a manager will be seduced into taking the bunt away because of the count.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there you see, I told you.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Let me tell you, I've seen it a million times. You say to your pitcher, go up there and bunt because I want to stay out of the double play, okay? And all of a sudden the count is 2 balls and no strikes, and you say, I can't resist it. Take a shot.
When was the last time he batted?
A junior in college.
And so 2 balls and no strikes against Gooden. I mean, you think he's got the upper hand?
Hey, baby, you're looking at it.
I'm watching it. Who wrote that book?
2-1 the count.
He'd be bunting from the time he got on the team bus.
Now let's see if he's back to bunting again. Yep. And the bunt, a chopper, and this time Hernandez only plays to backman covering. So Clemens, as if he's been doing it all year, lays down the bunt after taking a shot. And with a runner at second and 1 out, Wade Boggs will be coming up. Rick Aguilera begins to loosen up in the Mets bullpen.
I would expect him to be a good bunter as we look at Aguilera playing for Cliff Gustafson down in Texas, because basically good fundamental coach, but hitting, that's natural. You either can or you can't, and I'm representing those that can't.
He must be a great hitter that didn't swing 2-0 in the World Series.
What a matchup.
Boggs robbed of a hit by Backman, doubled, and then made 2 great plays defensively in the 3rd inning and fouls it away. Interesting, a bat manufacturer gave each Red Sox a memorial bat for the year 1986. Now, the pitchers never used a bat in the American League, so they opted, all of them, for a Wade Boggs model. Smart.
See what Bob Stanley said? He said he hopes he gets a chance to break his bat so he can put it in a trophy case. And he's going to be like Lefty Gomez. The only way he can break it if he backs over him coming out of the garage.
0-1 to count to Wade Boggs. Trying to pick up Spike Owen at second base. It's 4-2 Boston. We're in the top of the 4th inning. One and one.
Vin, it's interesting that Dykstra is now pretty much straight away. I mean, he was a little bit over in right center. There you see him. Now, Boggs uses the center of that diamond. That fastball, he'll go from the middle of the diamond over. The breaking ball, he'll pull.
1-1 to count to Wade. And there's the breaking ball, but he missed outside with it. Ball 2, 2-1. Aguilera throwing in the Mets bullpen for 2 reasons. If the Sox get out of hand, they'll have to go for the hook. But also, Gooden is due to bat 5th when the Mets come up in the bottom of the 4th inning. So Johnson, looking ahead, might be thinking hitter. 2-1. Ball 3. On deck is Marty Barrett. The shortest outing for Dwight Gooden this year, 4 innings. The Giants chased him out, and the Reds did it in 4. Well, we're in the 4th tonight. 3-1. And on the hands, and they got to play a third. Santana goes to Johnson. A bad base running play by Spike Owen. I don't know where he was going.
He just took off when the ball was hit. He'd like to take it back, and there's nothing Latchman could do because it was an easy play for Santana. That's the kind of a play that the coach tells you it's in front of you. Make sure he gets through there. Now he knows he's in no man's land, and he's out from here to next Wednesday.
So Spike Owen is hung out to dry without any dispute, and with Boggs at first and 2 down, Marty Barrett will be the hitter. Looks like they're trying to make a wish. Barrett grounded out and singled to right in the 3rd inning. Strike. Red Sox 4, Mets 2, top of the 4th.
He wanted to hit that pitch with first base, a little gap between 1st and 2nd. That's where he likes to punch that ball, and he steps right into it going to the opposite field.
Remember, he got that ball down and away last night. It was a perfect pitch for him because he likes the ball away. In there. 1-1 to count. 2 down, a run over in the 4th on the home run by Henderson. Wade Boggs aboard on the fielder's choice.
There's the area between 1st and 2nd. You just saw the way they line up. Dykstra's a bit over in right center field.
They give him all of the left field line and corner. And he goes the other way, inside 1st and down the line. Strawberry over to get it. Barrett will hold at 1st, and Boggs goes to 3rd. So he likes that ball out there, and the Mets, who were burned last night, are burned again tonight. And Marty Barrett is 2 for 3.
That is not an accident. That's just good hitting. He goes that way. A contact hitter. He was trying to hit the right field. Down the line it goes. And normally that should be a 2-base hit, but because he goes that way, they were playing over that way, and he could only get a single, but he keeps it going and gets Buckner up there.
So Gooden, who has not worked since the 14th of October, he is certainly well rested, and that was the first time in his career he pitched more than 9 innings. He had a no decision in 10, and Mel Stottlemyre on the phone to make sure that Rick Aguilera is ready. Bill Buckner is ready at the plate with runners at 1st and 3rd, 2 out, a run in, and 4-2 Boston. In there.
He's made 68 pitches, Vin, and we are in the 4th inning.
So if you multiply that by 2 and then add another inning, he is suddenly in the twilight zone in the 140s up in the 150 if he got to the 9th inning. But again, remember, he is well rested. Sisk has now joined Aguilera. 0-1. Fly ball to left field. Back on the ball is Danny Heap, and puts it away. 1 run, a home run by Henderson, and the bad play by Owen deprived the Red Sox of another. And at the end of 3.5, Red Sox 4, New York 2. 7th inning last night. Jim Rice at second base, 1 out, and Rich Gedman hits a ground ball to Tim Tuffle through his legs for the error. Rice scores, and the Mets lose 1-0. Let's turn the clock back. 1973. Kenny Holtzman had doubled for Oakland. The batter is Bert Campaneris. A ground ball to the right side to the Mets second baseman named Felix Millan. Right through his legs. Holtzman scored. Campaneris scored later. It all came with 2 out. They were 2 unearned runs, and Oakland won 2-1. Now it's Darryl Strawberry, Danny Heap, and Howard Johnson. Strawberry struck out in the 2nd inning. The quiet guns of October as far as the Mets are concerned.
We talked about Gooden's pitches. Vin in 4 innings made 69 so far. Clemens has made 59 pitches with that last one.
0-1 to Darryl. There's the fork ball. High drive into deep right field. Evans on the track and will make the catch. And it's the difference between the fork ball and the fastball. If he had hit a fastball like that, he hits it out. He was just a little in front on the forker.
He got under it, and Evans was able to drift back. You can't hit it much better than that. Classic swing. He kind of thinks it's gone. Evans, I thought right there he was decoying us. He had plenty of room.
Yeah, Dewey had it all the way, and here's Danny Heap, and he takes ball one. So one away in the fourth. Heap flied to center deep, if you remember, and all Strawberry can do is think about no near and yet so far. 1-0. Remember the old expression when a pitcher was in trouble, they ought to always holler, stick a fork in him, he's done. Well, the fork has really come back now to haunt the hitters. 2-0, the count to Danny Heap. 3-0.
You talk about his pitches, his fastball number 1, slider number 2, his curveball, then his forkball. That's in order of how he uses them.
3-0 to Heap. 4-2 Red Sox. Were in the bottom of the fourth inning, 1 out. High, ball 4. So Rogers fighting it. He has walked 3. He has struck out 3.
Third baseman.
And the batter will be Howard Johnson, who struck out in the second inning.
This is the concern area, too, for the Red Sox, is that middle relief. This is what they were worried about.
And we saw Nipper up briefly. He is not throwing now. The pen is quiet. Ball 1. Marty Barrett just trying to let Roger perhaps cool off for a moment. Go right at him. And John McNamara, who lifted Hurst for a pinch hitter last night and said after the game, I know where my neck is. My body would have been in the Charles River if they had blown that one. That was the quote of last night. 1 ball and no strikes. Fouled away. As we mentioned earlier, Davy Johnson put Howard Johnson in the lineup tonight because of the fact he wanted an extra left-handed bat. Ray Knight is slumping, and Johnson had experience against Clemens 2 years ago in the American League. 1-1. Fastball. High drive to right. Evans on the track. At the wall. Makes the catch. The ball seems to be dying out there, and there is no wind. The flag in center is just hanging limply.
But they talk about the swirling winds here. That's a ball that everybody, including Evans, I'm sure thought was out of here. He gets a real good cut at it. I mean, he's not fooled at all by this pitch. That's as good as he can hit it. He thinks it's gone when he hits it. And so does Evans. Did you see him take a look at that fence? But the swirling wind, and I wonder if it's that break between the scoreboard and the stands.
When you look in right field, between the scoreboard and the right field stands is a large gap, and there's a natural draft in there. And sure as heck, that had a lot to do with knocking that ball down. So Evans, who lost a home run last night, is now defensively on the end of a lost home run by Howard Johnson. And the batter will be Rafael Santana, and all Hojo can do is think about what might have been. Ron Darling in the corner with him. The flag, of course, no indication at all.
And you know, Hernandez, it doesn't sound that crazy when you start to think about it. I mean, watching those planes land, because they land according to the headwind.
In there, 0-1. So Danny Heap, who walked, still at first. The hitter is the tying run, and they've come close, but now the wind picks up a little bit and begins to blow out to right. 0-1. Fastball, that's hit into center, base hit. To second base goes Heap, and now Dwight Gooden is due up, and he will come up with 2 out. So Aguilera and Sisk stop throwing in the bullpen, and it's up to Gooden. Gooden would love to switch hit as Bill Fisher is going out to talk to Roger Clemens. But the Mets told him, oh, no, that right arm is too valuable. If you hit left-handed, you're going to stick that arm out in front of an inside fastball. So he stays as a right-handed batter. And Nippert now gets up for the second time in the Red Sox bullpen.
I'm sure that Fisher's trying to buy some time, because this is one of those innings that if you get out of it, you want to take a roll call, because we've been able to check the numbers. We know what Dewey Evans' number is, 24, because we've seen it a couple times on Strawberry and Johnson's hit as we look at Al Nipper in the bullpen. Fisher buying some time, and of course with 2 men out, you bear down on the hitter and even forget about those runners. Just give them a casual look.
So we have 2 out in the 4th, 4-2 Red Sox. Rafael Santana is 2 for 2 against Clemens. Heap is at second base, and we've had 2 long fly balls to right for outs. In there.
Of course, depending, Vin, on what happens to Gooden, this will be one of the featured questions in the after-the-game interview, letting Gooden bat. You're sitting at home, you want to manage, what would you do?
No balls and 1 strike. 1-1. You get the impression that after seeing the long fly balls and the single by Santana and the fact that for the 3rd consecutive time Clemens is working on 3 days, that Johnson feels he's going to catch him.
Well, Gooden hasn't exactly shut him down, though.
No. 1-1. Late on a fastball, hits it inside first to Buckner, who feeds Clemens coming over. A nice play for Billy Bucks as Gooden hits it inside out. And the Mets come up short, leaving 2, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. A man alone with his thoughts, and who could blame him? A broken hand keeping him out of the '75 World Series, and an incredible 1978 when he remained the only player ever to lead the majors in home runs, triples, and RBIs, the MVP, and it wasn't good enough to carry his club into the series, but here he is now.
He sure makes hitting simple when you talk to him. He says, I see the ball and I react, and when you can react, you don't need philosophies.
He struck out and flied to right. As usual, first ball hitter. Jim was talking about the fact that when he's in a slump, he goes up there and tries to get jammed, which is a strange way to put it. Breaking ball.
There's a reason behind that. He says, I want to get jammed because if I'm trying to get jammed, then I wait longer and I don't open up my shoulder. If I'm swinging too soon, then I'm in trouble. But if I wait to get jammed, then I'm waiting longer.
See if he bounces the curve. Nope, went with the fastball. 1-2. Rice has a tendency to chase the bad curve with 2 strikes, and we'll see if Gooden tries to still bounce one up to him. Not when you got that fastball, and there's a base hit for Rice, a fastball hitter into left field. So that means the Sox got the leadoff man aboard in the 3rd. They got a home run in the 4th, and they get a base hit to open up the 5th.
That ball's the outside part of the plate. You saw him pull it. Both Hojo and Santana tried to get it. Neither one could get it, but Rice is so strong. Keep in mind that 4 times in his career, he has started to swing, stopped the bat, and the torque was so great that it snapped off in his hands.
Well, here's Dwight Evans, who walked and struck out 0 for 1. Rice held on by Hernandez. 5th inning. Red Sox 4, Mets 2. And there's a drive into deep left field. Heap just watches this one, and it's going to go on the pavilion top, on the roof. And Dwight Gooden is not good enough tonight. It is 6-2 Boston in the 5th inning. And oh, did Dewey whack that one.
When you hit a ball that hard, that far, you're going up there looking for it, and I'm sure what dictated that looking for the fastball is what he did to Rice. We were all up there looking for the curveball, Ben. He never threw it, and Dewey says, well, he must be having great confidence in his fastball. I'll look for it and jump on it, and he really does.
And you know what you have to think of as you watch Dwight Evans going around the bases, Davy Johnson saying, why did I let Gooden bat? And the hitter is Rich Gedman.
He made up his mind he was going to swing, because that was certainly out of the strike zone, and it was a fastball. If that would have been in the strike zone, you'd have seen another line drive.
6 runs, 8 hits for the Sox. Home runs by Henderson and Evans, a double by Boggs. Those 8 hits, only Gedman is without one. And, of course, Clemens, who was allowed to swing 2-0. I think that might be one of the more memorable moments of the series.
You must have had a baseball coach at Fordham to let you guys do that.
So there's Dwight Evans and Jim Rice. They have their club out by 4. And, of course, the show moves to Fenway Park. Game 3, Bobby Ojeda and Dennis Oil Can Boyd. Tuesday night, 1-2. Ojeda, the former Red Sox, 18-5. Boyd, 16-10. The natural Red Sox-New York connection is even carried with a note of irony this year. In 1975, the Red Sox, who came so close with the Reds, were managed by Darrell Johnson. Darrell Johnson today is an advanced scout for the New York Mets. There's the curve, and that takes care of Gedman, but it's a little too late for that. Take a look at that breaking ball. You've heard so much about his fastball, but watch this bender.
I think the thing he does when he looks away from the hitters is as intimidating as any pitch. You take a look at it, that's the slow curve. You can see it twist out of there, and Gedman, although he followed and kept his head in there, he was just a little bit out in front of it. But Gooden, when he delivers the ball, twice in his delivery, he looks away from the batter.
Here's Dave Henderson, who really stung him in the 4th inning with a towering drive into left center field. Dave flied to center in the 2nd inning and then found the range in the 4th. 6-2 Boston, 5th inning. There's that slow breaking ball, but it stayed up. 2 balls, no strikes. On deck, Spike Owen. Mel Stottlemyre and manager Davy Johnson reflecting the mood of the ball club.
Boy, that's on his mind, too, that Gooden at bat.
Another breaking ball strike, and the count 2-1. Davy Johnson had to rub his chin and think. There were runners at 1st and 2nd, 2 out in the 4th, 2 long fly balls to right. He had Aguilera and Sisk in the pen. He opted for Gooden to bat. Gooden made out on a good play by Buckner, stayed in to surrender 2 more runs here in the 5th, and that's been the biggest single decision of the game. 2-2.
Watch when he delivers the ball, man. He'll look away. Hitters hate that right there.
I bet. And there's a shot foul. It was off speed, and Henderson way out in front of it. That's like Valenzuela looking up to the bill of his cap.
Same thing.
The difference is he doesn't throw as hard as Gooden, and with Gooden you want to make sure he knows that you're there.
Oh, you want to holler. You want to wear one of those orange jackets that you see the highway guys that work out there. You know, I'm over here, Dwight.
Dwight stung by home runs, most he has ever given up in a game 2, and he's done that tonight. And he takes care of Henderson. That's 5 strikeouts, but right now that's just window dressing, and the batter is Spike Owen. He gave up 17 home runs all year, and Davy Johnson knows that's not the man he's been looking at. But as we said, Gooden has changed his pitching style considerably in the last 3 years, particularly in strikeouts. Spike Owen walked and singled. 1 for 1. Fastball. And remember, if Spike had not violated a baseball running rule, trying to go to 3rd on a ball hit ahead of him, it might have been an even bigger 4th inning when the Red Sox could settle for just 1. They're leading 6-2. They could be out of sight otherwise. In there. They're not hanging K's. They're not making any noise. The crowd is as quiet as John McNamara. 0-2. When the game started, remember the hundreds of people waving the cards. Cards have been put back in the deck. Oh, 1-2. When the Mets bat in the 5th inning, they have Lenny Dykstra, Wally Backman, and Keith Hernandez. Trying to jam him, and he's behind 2-2 now.
And he shook off the curveball that Gary had put down there as we looked at Rice and Dewey Evans.
Rice and Evans, they were on that 75 club, although Rice didn't play because of the broken hand. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Curveball, squirted foul on the end of the bat.
I think that's the difference in Gooden this year and other years. He had a spike on in other years. He'd rear back and just hum it and come right at you. Now he's finessing him, trying to get him with the breaking ball.
We'll repeat that again. In '84, he averaged 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. In '85, he averaged 9 strikeouts per 9. This year, he averaged 7 strikeouts per 9. Last year, he struck out 10 or more 11 times. This year, 5 times. So he's changed. 2-2. Curveball. So down goes Spike on, and that's the quietest striking out the side job you'll ever see as the Sox go back to work, and they're leading 6-2. Clemens, engineered like no other car in the world. And by AT&T, the right choice. Lenny Dykstra, Wally Backman, and Keith Hernandez. Roger Clemens is backed up by Steve Crawford in the bullpen. Dykstra has struck out and sacrificed 0 for 1. The Red Sox 6, the Mets 2, bottom of the 5th inning. Fastball hit in the air to right center. Evans trying to run it down and slides and came up with it.
He was afraid of a collision, but what a play he made. And they're going to have a little visit out there in right center field. It looks like it's over his head, and Dewey.
Second baseman, Wally.
He didn't see that ball. Look at the way he kind of shied away from that. Tremendous catch. He lost that ball and found it once again right here. It looked like he was afraid of a collision, but he just shied away from it. What a play he made.
Great play by Dwight Evans, and of course that does more to take the steam out of the Mets. And with 1 away, the batter is Wally Backman. I must say that Roger Clemens, even leading 6-2, and as great as he is very wobbly tonight. And all you have to do is look back to the 4th inning with those long fly balls to right.
They're like two great fighters, just keep punching each other out, and legs are getting rubbery, but they're hanging in there.
Backman has walked and singled. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Mets with 2 runs, 4 hits. Clemens has walked 3, and he has struck out 3. 1-1. Two balls, 1 strike. Backman just trying somehow to get something started.
That's why I was a bit surprising to see Dykstra hit the first pitch. You know, they're trailing by 4, get something on, get those gunners, and you really have to play for that 3-run homer, which is not the Mets' game.
2 balls and 1 strike to Wally Backman. Now back 2-2. The Red Sox scored 3 in the 3rd. The Mets came back with 2. The Red Sox scored 1 in the 4th, might have had more, added 2 more in the 5th. They've had home runs by Dave Henderson and Dwight Evans with a man aboard. They've had a double by Boggs, and the glove of Boggs figured prominently in the 3rd inning. Foul back. So 2 excellent defensive plays by Boggs in the 3rd prevented the Mets from at least getting tied. Had they been tied, that might have changed Davy Johnson's thinking completely relative to Gooden taking that at-bat with 2 out.
I'll say this play right here by Evans, a tremendous play.
Ball 3. 3-2 to Wally Backman. Keith Hernandez on deck. 6-2 Boston in the 5th. Way out.
He's really laboring.
Well, that's 4 walks. The most walks in a game this year. Clemens allowed 6, and that's the only thing that really gives this crowd any heart. The fact that Roger is struggling. He allowed the fewest walks in the majors this year. Just under 3 did the Red Sox pitchers, but Clemens now has walked 4, and here's Hernandez.
How many times have you heard of Ben where they say, hey, it's easy to pitch when you have the good stuff? And it's the great pitcher who hangs in there when he doesn't have his good stuff. And that's what you're watching in Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden. Although Clemens has the lead, a good one, 4 runs, but he's wobbly.
Remember Hernandez last at bat. He slammed one off the left foot of Clemens. It caromed over towards Boggs, who made a fine play. That advanced Backman to second, and then Carter's ground ball that might have tied up the game was flagged by Boggs, and he threw Gary out. Hernandez committing a very important error in the 3rd inning. Hit right by the Red Sox dugout and off the auxiliary box seats, and Buddy Harrelson flips it in. And boy, it was time to duck for cover. Yeah, go that way, pal.
Keep it away from me.
0-1. For Hernandez, ironic he would make an error on a big play in the World Series. At one stage this year, he had an errorless streak of 101 consecutive games without an error, and he made only 5 all year. But a big one tonight. Ground ball to the hole. Big hop off the glove of Marty Barrett, deflected to right, and on his way to 3rd goes Wally Backman. A bad throw to the plate, finally grabbed by Rich Gedman. So Backman holding at first. And with 1st and 3rd, Gary Carter coming up.
Barrett gets over there, but it takes like a kangaroo hop off his glove. And John McNamara is going out to the mound. He wants to talk to Gedman. Take one more look at it. Barrett was cheating towards the bag, hoping to get a double play.
John McNamara has not taken the ball, as you can see from Clemens, so leading by 4 runs. Let's see what he does. Yep. So Steve Crawford will be loosening up and now coming in. It is 6-2 Red Sox. However, the Mets have runners at 1st and 3rd with 1 out. Gary Carter coming up, and we'll be right back. Catch by Dwight Evans in the 5th inning against Lenny Dykstra immediately brings back a memory. 1969. Brooks Robinson the hitter. Frank Robinson at 3rd. A drive into right center. Ron Swoboda makes a remarkable catch. Robinson tags up and scores. The Mets won the game 2-1 in 10 innings. There's Dewey's catch, a little different, but it certainly brings back the memory. Steve Crawford, who pitched in Game 5 Sunday against the California Angels, and perhaps had the quote of any post-game in the history of baseball from now and ever on. Talking about pressure, he said, if there was a bathroom on the mound, I would have used it.
And we can all identify with that.
I should say. Roger Clemens, remember, as the starting pitcher, did not go the required 5 innings. Consequently, Clemens will not have anything to do with the decision. Gary Carter flied to center and was robbed of a hit by Wade Boggs. And there's a pretty good hole on the left side. Ball 1. Well, they're playing him up the middle. That's the book on Carter. That's where he's been going. And Boggs was quick enough to fill the gap in the 3rd. So Backman at 3rd, Hernandez at 1st, and the only out was the catch by Evans. There's a hopper through off the glove of Owen. In comes Backman, Hernandez to second. 6-3 Boston. The run is charged to Clemens. The hit is charged to Crawford.
about 2 steps from Owens, but really hit, came off that grass. The grass fast, just mowed, and right by him, and the Mets have it going.
Hernandez at second, Carter at first, 1 out. 6-3 Boston in the 5th, and Darryl Strawberry, the tying run at the plate. He has struck out and a towering out to right. Ball 1. Remember, he hit the fork ball in the 4th inning and hit that drive to right that Evans caught on the track. One and one. Boy, I tell you, if you like crowd noise, if it does something to you, you come to the right place and at the right time. They'll start to build again now. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Fork ball, and he was way out in front of it.
That fastball, the first fastball he threw was low inside. It set up this fork ball, and I mean, you watch it, you can see it. Look at the rotation. You can see his fingers, what it was, and Strawberry was way out in front. Arm speed of a fastball, but a great off-speed pitch.
1 and 2. 2 and 2. Remember, 1 out. Carter at first, Hernandez at second, 1 run in. Might have been more, except for that great catch by Dewey Evans in right center on Dykstra. Strike 3 call. That means that young Strawberry has struck out 16 times in postseason play, twice in each game.
Left fielder. Looked like it was a fastball, the outside part of the plate, and that really has to have you muttering when you go through that.
The batter now is Danny Heap. 2 on, 2 out. 6-3 Red Sox. Danny flied to center and walked. 0 for 1. Off speed, got that breaking ball in. Strike 1. Standing at first, Gary Carter. At second, Keith Hernandez. Heap hit what appeared to be a hard fly ball to center, if you remember. Went back to the dugout muttering. Off speed, and he went after that.
Looks like showing the off speed, make him chase it, and the fastball, keep it away from him.
Crawford was in 40 games during the regular year. He had 4 saves, 0-2 record. ERA almost 4, but he's given the Sox a lift. 0-2 to Danny Heap.
Shook him off a pitch.
He's had a right shoulder injury in July, was on the disabled list as he works on Danny Heap on a 20-day rehab at Pawtucket. He's backed up now by Sammy Stewart, is Steve Crawford. 0-2. 1-2. In the inning, Evans took an extra base hit away from Dykstra. Backman walked. Hernandez singled off Barrett's glove. That was all for Clemens. Carter singled off Owens' glove for a run, but Strawberry struck out. And here's Heap, 1-2. Fouled away. Fastball.
The first pitch he threw was the slow curveball for a strike. He threw a forkball he swung at, then he threw a high, tight fastball, and then you could see Gedman move in with the fastball inside. That was the one he wanted to jam him with, and he fought it off. He has shown him the whole load right there this time at bat.
So Steve Crawford trying to bail out Roger Clemens in the 5th inning, and the Mets trying to get back in the game. 6-3 Boston. Danny Heap playing for the slumping Mookie Wilson, and he's up there in a dramatic moment. Off speed, fouled away.
If possible, it'll be something besides the fastball. He's got great confidence in it, and he's putting it in pretty good spots.
The Mets have scored once here in the 5th. They have Carter at first, Hernandez at second, and Danny Heap representing the tying run at the plate. Two and 2.
He wanted the fastball inside. You can see Gedman slide over there. Here's where he wants to make it happen. He doesn't want to go deep 3-2 and give those guys about 3 or 4 steps.
The Mets do not have great running speed out there. Hernandez at second is okay, but Carter is slow at first. 2-2 to Danny Heap. Big pitch. Ball 3. Now the edge is for the Mets, and McNamara knows it. The runners will be going 3-2 and 2 down. On deck is another left-hand hitter, Howard Johnson. So the runners poised and at the ready. There they go. Ground ball to Marty Barrett. Easy play, but he had to wait for Buckner, who hobbled to the bag in time, and the Mets settle for 1, but it's Dwight Evans' play in the 5th and the arm of Steve Crawford that kept the Mets away.
See our 10-minute ticker. Here's our 10-hour ticker. And Bears finally getting beaten. Minnesota 23-7. Raiders 30-28 over Miami. Dallas over the Eagles. Buddy Ryan will have something to say about that. Look at New England over Pittsburgh, 34-0. What a year for Chuck Noll. Atlanta, San Francisco, 10-10. New Orleans, and look at Kansas City, 42-41. Must have been a volleyball game.
No, Don Coryell is the only football coach I know who'd probably feel at home in the NBA.
Number 1. 42. And look at Seattle and the Giants. They had a pitcher's battle over there, 17-12. There you have it, the football scores on our 10-hour ticker.
Meanwhile, the Mets make a 2-for-1 switch. Since Danny Heap made the last out, Rick Aguilera comes in and will bat in Danny Heap's spot. Then you take Heap out, and Mookie Wilson is in left field. That means he bats 9th, and he'll be 3rd up in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rick Aguilera, fastball, curve, and slider is his best pitch. And although the Red Sox have already hit 2 out, Henderson and Evans, Davy Johnson brings in a pitcher who gave up the most home runs on the staff. He did a great job in relief against Houston. He went 5 innings against the Astros, no runs. He had one problem this year, and it was when the Mets clinched. In the raucous, riotous celebration, a fan jumped on him on September the 17th, and Aguilera hurt his left shoulder. So that set him back a bit. He also has a pretty good bat, although it's very doubtful that he'll have a chance to swing it. Meanwhile, Steve Crawford has his first major league at-bat. Six to 3 in favor of Boston. 0-1 the count. And now it is Steve Crawford and Rick Aguilera. And whatever happened to the dream matchup? High pop fly into shallow right field. Backman out, Strawberry.
So far, Crawford wins the pitcher's pool. He hit it farther than anybody.
There they are. They have given baseball fans throughout the country great memories all year. But they walk off the stage tonight leaving a lot. Clemens not involved in the decision. Gooden could only lose. Remarkable. So their greatest pairing since Lunt and Fontaine here in New York, and they're gone. And here's Boggs. Right. Robbed of a hit by Backman. Double to left to drive in a run. Then aboard on a fielder's choice when he grounded to short in the 4th inning. Top of the 6th. 6-3 Boston.
I asked Wade Boggs, I said, when do you really put yourself in gear to hit? He said, when the pitcher starts to turn, I start to turn. In fact, he's got a dance term. He calls it cheek to cheek.
1 ball, 1 strike. Subtle devil. 2-1. Smooth talking stranger. Wade Boggs.
From Florida. Too bad he's not from Texas.
1 for 3. All 3. On deck, Marty Barrett.
Wonder how dedicated he is. He was reading Ted Williams' book on hitting when he was in the Little League.
Great book to read. 3-1. You know, you talk about Boggs as he draws that walk. Wade Boggs has a lifetime batting average in 5 years with the Red Sox of .352.
At the plate,
Ted Williams had a lifetime batting average of .344 over 19 years. 19, and he missed a couple of years because of the war.
I can still see him hit those hard sinkers. It looked like they were going to go out the ballpark, and they zoom right down.
You know, talking about Ted Williams, there's another great hitter in the ballpark tonight.
Oh, yeah, we saw him.
Yeah. There goes Boggs, and the ball is hit slowly to short. Santana in a hurry. Off-balance throw gets him, but Barrett did his job with the runner going. Roll down. Every great batter works on the theory that the pitcher is more afraid of him than he is of the pitcher.
And I can hear Bob Gibson right now saying, oh, yeah.
You know, we were talking about great pairings, and in the course of it tonight, we talked about the Bob Gibson-Denny McClain pairing. They were each MVP that year. McClain won 31. Gibby won 22 when they met in the '68 series. But the year that Bob Gibson had in 1968, to me, is as great a year as I have ever heard of. He was never knocked out of a game, and he made 34 starts. Never knocked out. Ball one. He completed 28 of the 34 starts. Completed them. And his earned run average was 1.
And the managers were afraid to take the ball from him.
Wow. 1-0 to Billy Bucks. He lined to short, single to right, fly to left. 6-3 Boston, top of the 6th. Ball 2. Boggs at second with 1 out. As we look at Wade, Wally Backman in to say something to Aguilera just to give Boggs something to think about.
The conversation is always the same. Come on, we can't make a play if you're going to walk people. Make them hit that ball.
2-0 to Bill Buckner. On the corner for a strike, 2-1. Aguilera had some bursts of great pitching. From June to August, he was 6-0. He had a career-high 9 strikeouts in a game against the Reds. He had 2 injuries besides that shoulder injury we talked about. He also had inflammation of the right knee and had to come out for a while. 2-2.
What if Carter got hit again? I saw him just shaking his head once again. The backswing, he's talking to Jim Evans about it.
He's going to talk to Walt Riniak about it soon.
Yeah, see, he did get a little tap there. I tell you, you get those. By the time the year's over, you're just glad to get away from people.
I can hear Carter now. Top hand fly my foot.
Yeah.
Killing me. 2-2. Got him. So down goes Buckner. Boggs at second base is left there, and at the end of 5 1/2, Sox 6, Mets 3. Involving Dwight Gooden. One would be John McNamara playing with his head a little bit, going after that bandage, and the other Davy Johnson's decision to let him bat.
That was a bit unusual. Johnson had a chance to make a move. Gooden, I'm sure that he's thinking about it, and I agree with you with the Gooden thing. They took the Band-Aid off his left finger's ring finger, and might have affected him.
Also, the Mets have the chance now. They got into the Red Sox bullpen early enough, but they haven't been able to capitalize on it. Howard Johnson will start it off, followed by Rafael Santana, and remember, Mookie Wilson bats 9th. So Steve Crawford working on Johnson. Hojo struck out in the 2nd inning, then hit what looked like to Davy Johnson, and I'm sure everybody in the ballpark, a home run to right in the 4th inning, and it died, and Dwight Evans caught it. That was a big play. Then leading off the 5th, Evans made a diving, dazzling catch to make an extra base hit away from Dykstra. plus the 2 great defensive plays by Wade Boggs, and that's the difference. That has kept the Sox on top, leading by 3. Strike. Make no mistake about it, at this juncture, the proud Mets are hurting. They lose this one down 2 games to none and go to Fenway to battle a survive.
You'll hear all kinds of statements.
1-1. Fouled away. 1-2. Last year, in a storybook year anyway, Kansas City lost the first 2 at home and then came back to win. But boy, that is a tough mountain to climb. There it is. Well, sometimes history can be inspirational if needed, and we're not sure whether the Mets will need that or not. But the Red Sox sitting on top of a 6-3 lead here in the 6th inning. 1-2. On deck, Rafael Santana, who was 2 for 2 against Roger Clemens. And then Mookie Wilson.
Boy, that's what sends managers to the water cooler and gets the old boiler really humming, is to have a 6-3 lead. And there you see John McNamara. That'll do it, boy. That'll start a hockey game in the middle of your stomach. 3-2. You got a 3-run lead. Just throw strikes, no finessing. And here's Crawford out there with a full count.
3-2 to Howard Johnson, opening up the 6th inning. Line drive foul. One hops up into the seats.
How many times I've heard it said, it doesn't show up as a pitcher being wild when somebody gets the base hit, but when they keep taking those hitters deep, 3-2, that's not good pitching.
Well, you know, the Boston bullpen has been somewhat maligned, and Davy Johnson has read all about it. But if Davy read the papers today, he read a quote from Joe Sambito. It made some sense about the Red Sox pen. Since the 1st of September, it has done quite a job. Popped in the air, and looking for help is Owen. Coming in to provide it is Rice.
Somebody threw something out of the stands, too, Vin. Wow. You can see what Rice is doing now, and that's terrible. And the fans are reacting to it.
Looks like a ball of sorts. So Jim Rice makes a good play. Fan trying to distract him. Wow, did you see that thing go by like Halley's Comet?
And you can see Rice pointing towards it. No need for that.
What Sambito said, and it really is sharpened up now, he said since September the 1st, the Boston bullpen has fewer losses than any team in baseball. And remember, the Boston bullpen did not lose a game at Fenway Park all year. They're going to check at first. No swing, says Harry Wendelstedt, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. And the Boston bullpen, the only team to have 3 men with 9 or more saves. And Crawford is trying to make that statement stand up. 1-0 to Rafael Santana. Ground foul. Buddy Harrelson, who played every inning of 2 World Series for the Mets in '69 and '73. You might remember he got into a wildly written about fight with Pete Rose.
Boy, I can see why you'd want him as a coach. He's very active before the game. In the game.
Batting practice.
Yeah. He's a good one.
1-1. Strike. You know, I was saying that before, that the Red Sox were getting ready for Gooden by having Bill Fisher and Glenn Hoffman pitch batting practice. The Mets were getting ready for Clemens with Buddy Harrelson and Greg Pavlik. So how important is batting practice?
This time of the year, it's just to break a sweat. If you're not ready by now.
I mean, I would think if you really wanted to get ready for flamethrowers, you'd stand 5 feet in front of the plate if Buddy Harrelson is pitching batting practice.
Maybe 10 feet.
Maybe 10. 2-2. The count to Rafael Santana. Hit an inside fastball. It's backhanded and short hop by Boggs. Oh, what a play by Wade. That's the third dazzler he's turned in tonight.
Hey, we talk about him reading Ted Williams' book. He's been reading the Brooks Robinson book. Here's one where he backhands a short hopper, sets himself, and then makes the long throw. That's his third great play tonight.
Wade Boggs dazzling him with his glove. He has 1 hit, but boy, has he come up with 3 beauties. On Hernandez, on the carom shot off Clemens' leg, on Carter that would have driven in a run to tie up the game. And now this play on Santana. And then there was the other great defensive play by Dwight Evans on the ball hit by Dykstra. Mookie Wilson, ball 1. One and 0. One ball, 1 strike. Steve Crawford had to come in the 5th inning and pitch to Carter, who singled, but he struck out Strawberry and got Heap to ground out. Now he's gotten 2 outs in the 6th, thanks to Wade Boggs. Now back 1-2. Red Sox 6, Mets 3. And a reminder, our viewers will be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game. Meanwhile, Ray Knight talking to Keith Hernandez, but it can't be a very happy conversation. One and 2 to Mookie Wilson. The Mets bench is anything but animated.
See Gedman say, shake me off.
1-2. Got him, and down goes Mookie, and Hope sinks some more at Shea at the end of 6. A dazzling Red Sox show, and they lead 6-3. We'll be right back.
Wade Boggs is bad, but he has really made himself into a good infielder. One of the great plays that he's made, and it was. And Evans, he could have made this play easily if he thought he was the only guy in the ballpark, but thinking collision and may have lost it a bit. Dives and holds it, and once again, here's Boggs. Backhanded this time. Usually when a fella can do one thing good, and Boggs certainly is good at hitting, that's all he wants to do. But the good ball player, the real good ball player, he works on the things he's a little weak on, and Boggs has made himself a doggone good infielder.
Well, we've gone to the 7th inning. Red Sox 6, Mets 3, and Jim Rice, first ball swinging all night, fouls it away, 0-1. The Red Sox have really shown the Mets their game, and of course Boggs has really been a major portion of it. A couple of dazzling plays at third, as you've seen. He also doubled to drive in a run. The Sox have 8 hits, and that's going to be number 9. And for Jim Rice, his 2nd hit. And once again, the Sox get the leadoff man on base. They had Owen lead off the 3rd with a walk. Henderson lead off the 4th with a home run. Rice lead off the 5th inning with a single, and now the single by Jim in the 7th inning.
Remember, Evans came up in that 5th inning after Rice jumped on the fastball and hit a fastball on the tent out there in left center field. He'll look for his pitch, and if he gets it, he'll take a pretty good rip.
You know, if you have studied baseball at all, you know that the Mets have not been the only people to host a game here at Shea Stadium. The Yankees played here. Here's a base hit to center. The 2 on and nobody out. The point being that a couple of the Red Sox were no strangers at all to Shea Stadium when the Yankees played here. Don Baylor played here. Bill Buckner, Dwight Evans, Tim Lawler, Jim Rice, Joe Sambito, Calvin Schiraldi, and Tom Seaver. They all know about Shea Stadium. And they now piled up 10 hits. For Evans, he has a single and a 2-run home run. And here is Gedman, who was the only regular in the lineup without a hit. Everybody else has at least one. And forget the pitcher.
They jumped on the first pitch, Rice and Evans.
And he tried to. 0-1. The Mets thought he might bunt. They brought up the corners, but now Hernandez is back. Howard Johnson is right at the bag at third. So they're not expecting Gedman to bunt towards first at least.
I think I'd snap off a curveball right here, hope for the ground ball. If he bunts, he bunts. I wouldn't look for it.
No. Hit down the left field line, slicing foul, and well out of play. 6 runs, 10 hits for Boston. 3 runs, 6 hits, and an error for the Mets.
I just wonder if he missed a sign or something, because Carter really talking to him. There's no way you're going to get a ground ball where that pitch was. And that's what you're looking for. 2 men on, nobody out, catcher running. He's got the good overhand curveball. And with the man on second base, they could have conceivably switched signs, and luckily it was fouled off, and Carter was not crossed up. But he sure had an animated conversation, if nothing else.
One catcher trying to outslick another at the plate. Gedman grounded out and then struck out in the 3rd inning and struck out in the 5th against Gooden, who went quietly in the 5th inning, even though he struck out the side. He gave up a single and a home run to Evans, and he was done.
He's not sure of the signs. See, what I knew that was happening. I'm almost positive he got crossed up. Now, usually when you got a man on second base, you touch your equipment, that's the indicator. Whether you touch the mask, it'll be the first sign. Touch your chest protector, it'll be the second sign. Touch your shin guard, it's the 3rd sign. Or whatever you make up between innings. And Carter went to his mask, and as soon as he did, Aguilera backed off.
Now he goes to the protector and then the mask, and we'll see about the 0-2 pitch. It's looped back a second into shallow center. It's going to fall for a hit. Coming to 3rd is Rice. The ball is bobbled in center, but they're still going to hold him. And the bases are loaded with nobody out. And Carter is still annoyed and upset with Aguilera. He shook his head and patted him, although that time maybe he was just consoling him over the blooper. They made a good pitch, and the hitter got away with it anyway. So now Gedman joins the fun. He bloops a single to center, and everybody but the pitcher with a base hit. And the batter is Dave Henderson. Dykstra thinking maybe Rice was going to come to the plate, but there was no chance, especially with nobody out. Even though he dropped the ball, they had already sent Jim back.
Nobody out. They're not going to take many chances. I mean, it's station to station. Keep making left turns, guys.
Rice at 3rd, Evans at 2nd, Gedman at 1st. And here is Henderson. Flied to center, hit the home run, and struck out. The infield has to play up. And the pitch outside, ball 1. It's too late now to give up a run and go for 2. It's the 7th inning, and the Sox are leading by 3. And it sounded like a crack bat single into right field. Rice will score, and that's it. 90 feet at a time, and it is 7-3 Boston. Still nobody out, and I heard that bat crack, so Henderson won't use it again. And Johnson would like to crack it over his knee if he could.
Base hit, 90 feet. Looked like a fastball inside part of plate. He sinks it in. Kind of hit it off the end. Perfect spot with the infield in, and move up 90 feet, get some gas, and look at the road map.
So that's 4 consecutive hits by the Red Sox in the 7th inning. Rice, Evans, Gedman, and Henderson. Jesse Orozco begins to loosen up down in the Mets bullpen. Well, the Mets are really hurting now. There's Jesse. The batter is Spike Owen, and Doug Sisk has now joined Jesse. Boy, that would be a contrast. Orozco hanging on, having to strike out Kevin Bass with a big out in the big game, and then to be brought in mopping up in a 7-3 game. Bob Stanley throwing in the Boston bullpen, and Davey Johnson, a troubled and very unhappy Mets manager. Here's Bob. So the Sox just trying to tear it wide open now. Evans at 3rd, Gedman at 2nd, Henderson at 1st. And the infield must stay up. You might say, why would you wonder about a grand slam home run with Spike Owen at the plate? Well, the last grand slam in a World Series was by a pitcher. 4-1. Dave McNally of Baltimore. He hit it off Wayne Granger, so in case you had the thought. Steve Crawford is not on deck yet, and now he's coming up the steps of the dugout. 1 ball, no strikes. Fouled away. Crawford, the leading hitting pitcher on the Red Sox staff, he made contact and hit a fly ball. But Roger Clemens allowed to swing 2-0, sacrificed in the 4th inning, and it was Clemens who bunted, and Hernandez made the bad defensive play in the 3rd inning. Nobody out. And there's a base hit to left field. In comes Evans. He'll stop Gedman. You go 90, I go 90, and we go up 8-3, say the Sox.
It looks like they're playing one of those video arcade games. You get a hit, and they all just move up. They just move up.
So that's 5 consecutive singles, like needles, acupuncture applied to Dave Johnson. But not to relieve pain, but to give pain. And it's time to go to the chewing tobacco.
And that's one of the tip-offs. When Davy Johnson puts a chew in his mouth and heads for the mound, that's all for the pitcher. And the pitchers know that.
And he's got a mouthful right now. And Mike Greenwell is going to come up and bat for Crawford and try and just dismantle the game. But not before Davy goes out to the mound.
That's a ritual. A chew of tobacco and a hook for the pitcher.
Greenwell.
So it is 8-3 Boston. Bases loaded, nobody out. The Sox are out of sight. Pewters and 63 here at Shea, but it is a greatly deflated ballpark. Now we see empty seats. Now we see people heading home. Now, for the first time tonight, the enthusiasm has gone down the drain. The bubble has been burst. The air is out of the balloon. You can use all the cliches. But the city of New York knows it's in trouble. The Mets are down 8-3. Unless they come up with a remarkable rally, they will lose their earrings and their straw hat, and they will take the act to Boston, where Fenway Park awaits Bob Ojeda, and the oil can will be on the mound.
When you got a big lead and you see that happen, the expression is they must be selling fire in the stands.
Well, the fire has gone out in one corner, and Bruce Hurst, who really stoked it last night for the Red Sox, reliving a happy moment and blowing a pretty good bubble.
Boy, I'd rather see that than see those guys chewing that tobacco.
Yeah, and how? Well, Jesse Orosco, just a couple of days ago, the most dramatic moment, striking out Kevin Bass with sliders, and all of New York holding its collective breath. And now, mopping up. 8-3 Boston in the 7th. Here's Mike Greenwell batting for Crawford. The Mets infield still up after 5 consecutive singles. It's like being eaten to death by an angry moth. They don't make any dents. You hardly know you've been hit. But Rice singled, Evans singled, Gedman singled, Henderson singled, Owen singled. Nobody out, bases loaded, 2 in, 8-3 Boston. In the World Series, as you can see, 6 consecutive hits. And Boston has 5 in a row. Those 6, by the way, were in the 9th inning.
You could hit a home run right now and you'd stop the rally.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2, 2-1.
I mean, all those singles. Center field, center field, center field, right field, left field.
And, of course, hanging over Shea Stadium, not only the pall of defeat, but also the weight of the second guess. And I'm sure Davy Johnson, had he only been given the opportunity to do it over. That was in the 4th inning with 2 on and 2 out, and the Mets very much in the game. Gooden batted, stayed in the game, gave up 2 more runs in the 5th inning, and for all intents and purposes, the game went down the drain. And although Johnson was probably right in his assessment of Roger Clemens, feeling that the Mets would get to Clemens, Roger, remember, had to leave in the 5th inning. It was too late. 2-2, the count to Greenwell. Gedman, Henderson, and Owen on the lines. Ground foul, back of Walt Reniak, the pride of Natick, Mass. What were you telling me as we look at Steve Garvey and Jay Johnstone? Yes, here's to you. Schlanthawallager. That's a Gaelic toast.
Bob Stanley told me that in high school, Reniak holds the high school passing record over Flutie.
And Bill Robinson, who insists I am not the batting instructor, I am the hitting instructor, still waits for the Mets to hit. 2-2. And Orozco goes 3-2.
Davey uses that great expression that he gave us this summer, Ben, unfavorable chance deviations. This is one of them.
Boy, it sure is. His computer has broken down tonight. And on deck, Mr. Boggs. Boy, what a night he's had. Infield up, bases loaded, nobody out, 2 runs in. Red Sox 8, Mets 3. Got him. He looked it all the way, and it got the corner. So there's a busted dream. Young Mike Greenwell in the bases loaded in the World Series. Caught on that sidearm snake that got the outside corner.
Orozco, he can be tough on the left-hand hitter. He sidearms. You watch where he comes from. Looking away once again. Arm like a rope out there, and he watched it all the way, and nothing he can do. That was a good pitch.
Bob Stanley has concluded his warm-ups in the Red Sox pen, and now here's Boggs. Bases loaded, 1 out. The infield is halfway. Ball 1. 1-0. So they backed off a little. Howard Johnson, however, remains near the bag at third. Gedman, Henderson, and Owen out there. Slicing foul down the left field line, way out of play. 1-1. When the Mets hit in the 7th inning, they will send up Len Dykstra, Wally Backman, and Keith Hernandez. If you're wondering, Boggs does have a grand slam this year. Oh, that was a good pitch. He quit on it and it dropped in there.
Vicious curveball. It's a kind of a pitch he usually waits on. Hits to the opposite field. 2 strikes now. He'll be going almost certain it'll be from the mound towards left field.
1-2 to Wade. Got him on the breaking ball, and that's quite a feat in itself. So Orozco strikes out Greenwell and Boggs, and that'll bring up Marty Barrett.
Second baseman, Marty.
Big breaking curveball, but it is also his motion. When he gets that left arm out there, watch it. Looks away, that's intimidating. Finds that target, and look at that. From way out there, the curveball. And you can see Boggs bailing out. Bat was there, but the body was in the first base coach's box.
Marty Barrett grounded out, twice singled to right and grounded to short, but he's gone the other way 3 out of 4 times. Ball 1.
Remember last night talking to him, he said, I want to protect that outside part of the plate. I go that way. I'd rather be jammed inside than to take that pitch outside for a strike.
Well, they say he likes the ball away, and he has certainly shown that in the 2 games. On the outside corner, but it was up, and they count 1 ball, 1 strike.
You can see by his stance that he strides that way.
Orozco with a fastball and a good slider.
There's that mystery foot. He moves it but doesn't know why. As soon as he starts to swing,
there's that mystery batter's box.
Yeah, it's a rumor.
Ball 2, 2-1. There's no such thing as a batter's box. It's long gone.
Batters know exactly where to step, though. They got their favorite spot.
2-1 to Marty Barrett. And he hits it in the air to left center. Dykstra trying to run it down. He does. However, 5 straight hits for 2 runs. 3 left. And at the end of 6½, 8-3 Red Sox. Tuesday night at historic Fenway Park in Boston. It'll be the return of Bobby Ojeda in a New York Mets uniform, and the can will be waiting. Tuesday night. But we still have plenty of tonight left. 3 innings to go. And Bob Stanley, the big guy with a good palm ball. He'll be working on Lenny Dykstra. 1 ball and no strikes. So the Mets got what they wanted. They got into the Boston bullpen early enough, but Crawford shut them down, and now Stanley's trying to do it. A hopper into left field. Base hit for Dykstra. And if there is any life left in this crowd at Shea, we'll see it now as Backman comes up and Hernandez on deck. Stanley was a workhorse for the Red Sox. He was in 66 games during the regular year. He even got a start in Kansas City. So Dykstra at first with Buckner in front of him and Backman at the plate. And he's going to try and left the bunt in Rich Gedman's mitt. 0-1.
It's kind of interesting the way Buckner and Dykstra are playing over there. Buckner's way off the bag, and he's setting up a defensive maneuver with his second baseman Barrett. There you see it, and Dykstra gets behind him.
It is 8-3 Red Sox, bottom of the 7th inning. There's the palm ball, and he missed with it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bob Stanley finished 50 of his 65 relief appearances. I mean, he got the job done when they needed it. Backman waiting. 1 ball, 1 strike. And there's a ball hit into left center, base hit. Dykstra to second and holding, and the Mets try to come back.
I'm sure that McNamara would like to keep Schiraldi out of there, but you never know. There's some action. Somebody's getting up.
The crowd is showing life. The Mets pen quiet, but now Fernandez throwing. Calvin Schiraldi gets up in the Boston bullpen. So Dykstra at second, Backman at first. Nobody out. 8-3 Boston in the 7th. Hernandez walked in the first inning, slammed one off Clemens' leg, and a great play by Boggs got him in the 3rd inning, and he singled off Marty Barrett's glove in the 5th. Right. One thing about the Mets, as with any championship ball club, they don't quit. And the Mets had 39 come from behind victories this year. 0-1. Fouled away off to the left, and now Hernandez in a hole. 0-2. Mets trying to get back in the game. The 2 pests are on the baseline. Palm ball misses. 1-2. On deck, Gary Carter. Palm ball got him.
You talk about changing speeds. What a surprise that was. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Stanley gives it the big windup and throws the palm ball. There you see it. You got a good look at how deep in his hand it was. And Hernandez not only out in front, but way off balance. And really, that super slow-mo really showed that palm ball.
I think the palm ball is extremely effective, especially if you're a man as big as Stanley. He's 6'4" and 220, and you expect everything to come up to the plate in a hurry. Here is Carter.
It's that arm speed once again.
Yeah.
Very deceiving.
Carter flied to center, robbed of a hit by Boggs, and singled. Strike. Boggs made a great play on Gary's ball. Otherwise, the Mets would have tied the game in the 3rd inning. And then Carter singled off the glove of Owen against Crawford. So Stanley has 1 out, 2 on, 0-1 to count, and Darryl Strawberry on deck.
Good sinker.
Bottom dropped out. The old expression really holding true. 0-2 the count. And there is Strawberry, the big gun that has been thoroughly silenced in October.
You know Carter's got that pound ball that he threw to Hernandez on his mind.
0-2. Got him.
He took a shot at the outside corner, and it's one of those too close to take with 2 strikes.
Right fielder.
And that pretty much says it all. I don't think it was a strike, but...
Boy, there's a lot of head shaking in New York.
Confused, bewildered.
Talking about confused and bewildered, pretty good words to describe Darryl Strawberry up to now.
Here's that pitch to Carter. Look at Gedman setting up. There was no doubt in Evans' mind.
0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Again, if I was Strawberry right now, I would look, as we look at Carter, I would look for the pound ball right now and just guess and give him the strike. Can't do any worse than that.
He has struck out twice tonight. Ball 2, 2-1, and he has had as humiliating a time in the postseason activity as any big hitter. Let's take a look at that.
There's the grip. That's why they call it the pound ball. It's very simple. Deep in your palm, and you use the arm speed like you're throwing a fastball. Of course, he looks like Dizzy Gillespie the way he was puffed up there.
Fouled away, and Strawberry out in front of it, and the count 2-2. Lee Mazzilli. Remember, Strawberry is followed by the pitcher after that 2-for-1 switch with Aguilar and Wilson. So Lee Mazzilli is on deck to bat for Orozco, if he gets a chance. Little roller up along first base, foul ball.
Sinker ball, the outside part of plate, tried to pull it. Just confused.
For the Mets, this inning is not a typical inning. Not for Carter, not for Hernandez, but it was typical for Dykstra and Backman. The little pests set the table. Dykstra single to left, Backman single to center. But the big guys were thoroughly muffled as Hernandez struck out and Carter strikes out. And here is Strawberry with 2 strikes. 3-2. Tell you one thing, I don't know how in the world you can throw a pound ball for a strike. And the Mets are probably wondering that too. Hernandez is angry, visibly affected about the way that ball fooled him to strike him out. 3-2, runners go. 1 hopper. Staying with it is Spike on. Low throw. Buckner digs it out. It's as if they're trying to tantalize the Mets. 2 are left, and at the end of 7, 8-3 Boston. Boston in the 8th inning. The Mets have left 6 men in the last 4 innings. They have left 8 in the game. The Red Sox left the bases loaded in the 7th inning, and they're still breezing and leading by 5.
Leading off the 8th inning for the Boston Red Sox, first baseman
Bill Buckner, followed by Jim Rice, and then Dwight Evans against Jesse Orozco. Buckner lined to short, single to right to drive in a run, flied to left and struck out. Everyone in the starting lineup with at least 1 hit. Rice has 2. Evans has 2 plus a walk. Henderson has 2. Owen has 2. Barrett has 2. And Buckner and Boggs and Gedman 1 apiece. Right.
I look at Buckner, Vin, with those high-top shoes and a mustache, and I think of my T206 old-time bubblegum cars like he was with the Highlanders.
This is Billy Joel. Christy Brinkley on the other side of the camera for a change, videotaping the crowd. That's a waste to have her on the other side of the camera. 0-1. Billy Joel sang the national anthem. There, now that's better. I guess that's infinity. She takes a picture of herself, taking a picture of herself, taking a picture ad infinitum.
Okay.
All right. Ad nauseum.
That's better.
That's better. 1-1. Fouled away. 1-2.
I understand that second one.
Me too. 1-2 to Billy Bucks in the 8th inning. 8-3 Boston. Bobby Ojeda. He was 18-5 during the regular year. And he's got a date in Fenway Tuesday night against Dennis Oil Can Boyd.
And what about Wednesday?
What about Wednesday? For a few moments, and for a few moments only, we saw Sid Fernandez throwing in the Mets bullpen. There's a looper to right, and that's going to fall for the 14th Red Sox hit.
I would think a pinch runner would come in. I'd look for old Stapleton to come
I would
out.
think, just to give him a break.
Jim Rice.
Now just watch him labor to first base. Look at those legs.
And he's running on marbles. Here comes Buck out.
And he gets a well-deserved round of applause for his gutsy playing on a bad leg. Billy Bucks leaving the field. And running for him at first base, Dave Stapleton. And they know how much it hurts him. Boy, do they ever.
And he never complains.
No. So there is Dave Stapleton at first. And Jim Rice with 2 singles and 4 trips at the plate. He has hit the first pitch, or at least swung at it, every time up, and he fouls that one away.
And as we talked about last night, in talking to him, he makes up his mind before he goes into the batter's box.
You know, they say he'll be a first ball fastball hitter. He was a first ball slider hitter just then.
He's an equal opportunity first ball hitter.
That's right.
You throw it, I'll hit it.
0-1. Fastball. 0-2.
Here's what they're choking up on the bat, what he did. He says, I just want to be quick with the bat. And if I can be quick with the bat by choking it up a little bit, he's a little bit down on the end, though, now. He's still up a little bit, not right down on the end, but he's been up higher than that. He wants to be quick with it. Stay away from the strikeout and double play if he can.
0-2 to Jim. And he whacks that off-speed pitch into left field for a base hit. And what an exchange of looks. Gary Carter turned and walked away in disgust, looking over towards the Mets dugout. Orozco stared at Carter as he walked over towards third, as if to say, no matter what we serve up there, it's a base hit. Boy, the Sox have really made an impression on the Mets tonight with 15 hits and 8 runs.
But, you know, I can see Gary staring out there. You're saying to yourself, man, you got him 2 strikes. If you're going to throw a curveball, bounce it up there. He might chase it. Maybe something will happen. But to give him a room service job like that, you're asking for
off speed. Boy. All right, 2 on, nobody out. And here's Dwight Evans. That's the off-speed pitch, and he got it outside. Ball 1. Dwight walked and struck out. Hit a 2-run home run in the 5th inning. Singled in the 7th inning. And made a dazzling catch of a ball hit by Len Dykstra in the 5th inning. Little slider for a strike. That's the interesting thing about what the Red Sox have done tonight. Number one, they've hit everything that the Mets pitchers have thrown up there. And Don Baylor, who has been the designated sitter for 2 games, will probably be back in action at Fenway Tuesday night. Big chopper to short. Santana goes back to second, and Backman on to Hernandez for the double play.
And what a great job Backman did on the pivot. He really had to go to the shortstop side and really put something on it. Santana gives him a good ball hit. Now watch where he ends up. Try to take him out of the play, but he really made a great pivot.
A rolling block by Jim Rice to no avail. And with 2 down, Dave Stapleton is at third, and the batter is Rich Gedman.
Can you imagine what Rice must sound like coming down to Backman, like the 5:15 leaving Grand Central?
So Gedman with 2 out on the 8th. 8-3 Boston. Ball 1, 1-0. When the Mets hit in the bottom of the 8th, there'll be a hitter for Orozco, then Johnson and Santana and Wilson batting 9th and 4th in the inning. Rice down the stairs and out of view. 1-1. So the Red Sox have been extremely impressive in 2 games. They won that tough one 1-0 last night. Tonight, they have piled up 15 hits and 8 runs. They have had 4 dazzling defensive plays. The Mets got into their bullpen and have been completely shut down by Crawford and Stanley. And all the while, Davy Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre can only sit and sip hot coffee and wait. Two and two.
And as you say that, Vin, I'm just thinking a shot of Baylor. There'll be no pitcher in the 9th spot when they get to Fenway, and Baylor's had a tremendous year for him.
And remember how they talked about how the Red Sox were going to be at such a great disadvantage. They couldn't have the DH. They'd have to maneuver their pitchers. They'd have to get into the bullpen. 2-2. Got him, and he flinched, quit, and Orozco strikes him out. Gives up 2 hits and nothing else. A man left at third at the end of 7 1/2. 8-3 Boston. Pictures showing you the despair of the Mets, at least at this stage of the World Series. And a date in Fenway Tuesday night. And not exactly a lot of rah-rah down there. Howard Johnson is reaching up towards the heater. And Gary Carter's had a long night.
Jeffrey Orozco, number 13,
Lee Mazzilli, followed by Howard Johnson, then Rafael Santana. Bottom of the 8th inning, 8-3 Sox. Mazzilli, a former Met who has returned, fouled it away. He wears number 13. If you ask him if he's superstitious, he said, no, when I got back here, my wife and I decided my luck couldn't be any worse. I'll take 13. So he's wearing it. 0-1. Fouled away. When he was a kid, he was not that well known as a baseball player, but he was a dazzling speed skater. He won 8 national championships. 0-1, 1-2. When he came up, he was the picture of Saturday Night Fever. Boy, he's something.
Boy, he really had that early height.
And he lifts a fly ball to Dave Henderson in center, but that's a graveyard out there. 1 away.
One of the great expressions of all time, you talk about graveyard, was Fresco Thompson's great description of Willie Mays. He said his glove, Willie Mays' glove, triples go to die.
Howard Johnson.
Hojo thought he might have hit one out. That was back in the 4th inning. It would have been a big one. It would have revitalized the Mets. They were trailing at the time 4-2, and he came up with a man aboard. And he hit a towering drive that looked like it was heading for the Mets bullpen, and it just died. Evans caught it. And that was a big play. 1 ball, no strikes. Slice foul, out of play. Momentum. The Sox got 3 in the 3rd inning. In the bottom of the 3rd, the Mets came roaring back for 2 and would have at least tied the game. And Strawberry is well aware of it, as well as everybody else, except for the magic glove of Wade Boggs on a ball hit by Hernandez and a ball hit by Gary Carter. Johnson holding back the bunt attempt, and the count 2-1. And then Henderson came up where it was 3-2 Boston, and they were being challenged, and he hit one out, and that was it to say, that's it, stop right here. They added 2 more on the home run by Evans, and all of a sudden what was 3-2 was 6-2. Chopper to Stapleton. He'll hang one to Big Stanley, the Stanley Steamer, and you have 2 out.
Shortstop, Rafael
John McNamara. When you were talking about that inner strength that he has, and you likened him to Gil Hodges, the former Marine, no coincidence that John has a son who's a lieutenant in the Marine Corps. I'm not sure where Mike is, but if he has a chance, I'm sure he is busting his buttons over his dad.
Well, much like Hodges, because he doesn't say a lot of things, they sometimes mistake that for lack of strength.
Fouled away.
And Gilly showed it in a hurry. Took John a little bit longer. But I tell you, he runs that ball club.
Davy Johnson is not very emotional at all. You can't really tell whether he's winning or losing
No.
just looking at him in there. 0-1. That's hit fouled on the right field line out of play. Santana, from whom you would not expect too much offensively, singled in the 3rd inning and singled in the 4th inning against Clemens and was robbed of a hit in the 6th inning batting against Crawford. He got a high inside fastball and he blackjacked it, and Wade Boggs backhanded and short hopped it and threw him out. That was in the 6th.
Well, that's one of the things the Red Sox scouts told their ball club, that Santana is hot, swinging the bat in good shape.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him on the breaking ball, and that chills him.
Boy, he backed him out of there. He came sidearm, and that took it. There's Tuffle.
3 strikeouts, and it's still 8-3 Sox. For great taste, there is only one light beer. By Wendy's, now introducing the big classic hamburger. This is the good stuff. By IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? The big Hawaiian will hang 10 on the rubber now as we go to the 9th inning. Sid Fernandez.
And leading off,
youngster will be the 4th Mets pitcher. Dwight Gooden, then Aguilera, Orozco, and now Fernandez. He will be pitching to Dave Henderson, Spike Owen, and then Bob Stanley. Fernandez, a 16-game winner. In seeing him pitch tonight, you begin to think more and more about Game 4. Johnson was pretty sure he was not going to expose his young left-hander, who was inclined to be a little wild anyway, to Fenway Park. But now all of a sudden you're starting to wonder. Aguilera pitched a while. He pitched almost 2 innings tonight.
Got to be Darling.
And would you bring Darling back? Darling last night went 7 innings. Knocked on his numbers in the collision by Henderson. It would appear as if he would be the logical choice. Line drive, 16th hit for the Boston Red Sox. And Fernandez is welcome to the club. 8 hits off Gooden, 5 hits off Aguilera, 2 off Orozco, and now this one against Fernandez. Tuesday night's game is going to be something. I mean, you talk about drama. Fenway Park. The Mets played there once in a meaningless exhibition game. They will be playing for their baseball lives, and it will mark the return of Bobby Ojeda to Boston against the Can. Right.
And when you talk about Oil Can Boyd, and they talk about the guy's got 6 pitches, natural ability all over the place. Ojeda's done some job and familiar with Fenway Park. And there he is.
And I would think the Boston fans will probably make a little noise.
Oh.
Fouled away, and the count 0-2.
Listen, this ball club, I tell you, they waited a long time to make some noise.
1918, the last time that the Red Sox won a championship. Whether that was an ominous note for the Mets and a harbinger of good things to come for Boston. But the last time they won it, they won the first game 1-0, pitched by Babe Ruth, and they won last night 1-0. They had the frustration of 75 and the heartbreak of 78, but they'd forget that in a hurry if they keep this thing going.
You don't think the Mets want to spoil that homecoming just like the Red Sox spoil this homecoming?
So Tuesday night will be something at Fenway Park. 1-2. Spike Owen, a switch hitter, batting right-handed. Davy Johnson has to be deep in thought, watching Fernandez, thinking about Tuesday, and then the gap in his plans on Wednesday. Ground ball up the middle, and even though it hit the side of the mound, that couldn't take the sting out of it. That's 17 hits. So there are runs in the stockings, and there are 17 hits to go along with them.
Number 46.
2 on, nobody out.
Bob
Third hit for Owen.
Yep.
Henderson 3.
And remember, he hit it right-handed. So Spike Owen with 3 hits and a walk. And the batter is Bob Stanley.
Oh,
What'd
he wants to crack a bat so he can put it in his trophy case. I know he's videotaping this.
Johnny Mack wants him to sacrifice, or at least the Mets think so. Let's see. Yep. Hernandez right on his neck. And he fouled it back. 0-1. Boy, you talk about a first baseman coming. Of course, he's made that play. Charging the bunt and getting the force at third.
The only way you make the great play is by gambling. He's really going to get burned if Stanley had enough to punch it down the first base line, but that's pretty easy to say. You're in that batter's box. You make up your mind to bunt one way. Very difficult to change. Hernandez knows that, and he is really ready to charge.
0-1 the count. And he's going to push the bunt foul.
Look at Hernandez saying, that's okay. You want to do that? That's all right. He's laughing. Tell you, guy's a battler, man. And Stanley pushes at it. Wants to push it past Hernandez.
Boy, these Red Sox pitchers are something. Clemens swings 2-0. Stanley's not content with bunting. He's going to push one by Hernandez. I mean, they love it, huh? Look at this kid laying that one foul. Well, Stanley at least hit the ball.
It's a moral victory because the last thing he wanted was to get a mark on the bat, and he at least got that.
Sure did. So Hernandez did not get the force. Stanley striking out, bunting foul. 2-on, 1 out, and here's Wade Boggs. Robbed of a hit by Backman, double to left, and walked, and he's at a fielder's choice and struck out. 2-on, 1 out in the ninth. 8-3 Boston. In there. The Mets in the ninth inning are due to send up Mookie Wilson, Len Dykstra, and Wally Backman. Dave Henderson at second, Spike Owen at first, 1 away. Big, slow curveball in there. Boggs said a little expression about cutting bait. He wasn't quite sure what to do with it. 0-2. Fouled away. I figure we're 3 hits away from even talking about the record, but if you wonder, the record is 20 hits. The interesting thing about it, back in 1946, the Cardinals got 20 hits against Boston, and that looks like it might be 18. It is, against the wall. In comes Henderson on a double by Boggs. Stopping at third is Owen. It is 9-3 Boston. And they're getting close to returning the favor. Do you remember the 20 hits the Red Sox?
No, the Red Sox.
No, I was just going to say the Red Sox, let's see, what would be received off the Cardinal bats?
Yes, I remember it.
Did you have a slice of that pie?
Yes, I did.
How big a slice did you have?
I had 4 hits. Ooh. 4 hits, 4 bullets.
Well, there's a bullet over the Straw's head. So the beat goes on. Meanwhile, holding at third is Spike Owen, and they're checking him out. He might have hit the bag while waiting for the sign from Latchman. Meanwhile, Hernandez has had it, 2 singles and a double, and you have a pretty good indication of why Davy Johnson was not thinking of using him in Fenway, for sure. Oh, and evidently, rounding third, tried to jam on the brakes and twisted his ankle slightly, or more than slightly, as he hobbles off. Ed Romero can pick up for him. So Spike has to come out. And he did a fine job. He had a walk, 3 singles.
For the Mets, number 36, Doug Sisk.
So Doug Sisk will be coming in. Ed Romero will be the runner, and we'll pick up right after this. pitcher. It's been Dwight Gooden, Rick Aguilera, Jesse Orozco, Sid Fernandez, and Doug Sisk. You can see Sisk's numbers, and he is asked to try and get the outs. There's no one throwing in the bullpen. You only have Randy Neiman and Roger McDowell left.
Oh, you got to get Vern Hochschild in there.
He's close.
Vern, coach. I broke in with old Vern in 1942, and we got to remember old Vern.
Right. The infield is up. If there ever is a sinking feeling, it has to be an infield up, trailing by 6 in the 9th inning. Ball 1. 9 runs, 18 hits for the Red Sox. 3 runs, 8 hits, and an error for the Mets. Albeit a pretty important error back in the 3rd inning by Keith Hernandez. Marty Barrett was extremely tough with the bat with men in scoring position against the Angels. In fact, he was 7 for 10. And he's got another opportunity. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. Plus handling everything that was hit his way, he was the MVP, and deservedly so. Dave Stapleton is on deck. Doug Sisk out of Washington. Sinker slider pitcher. Ball 3. He did not allow a home run all year. In fact, the last home run that Sisk allowed was in August of '85. And now they're going to put him on. So that'll load the bases with 1 out and bring up Dave Stapleton. Remember Buckner, when he singled in the 8th inning, they took him out and Stapleton ran for him.
Dave Stapleton.
Isn't that something? What happens to a ball player? You talk about a staircase to paradise. That's the staircase to the cellar. Wrong way. And he promptly lifts a fly ball to shallow left. Mookie Wilson is there. Romero tags, but he's not going to go anywhere. And it's cut off by Howard Johnson. That's the 2nd out. And Jim Rice will be coming up with the bases loaded. He has been swinging at the first pitch at every at-bat. He has struck out, flied to right, single to left, single to center, and single to left. He is 3 for 5.
If you were sitting in the ballpark now watching this and knew that, you'd say, you think he'll hit the first pitch?
You think they'll walk him intentionally with the bases loaded? You know, I remember that happening. When Mel Ott managed the New York Giants, he walked Bill Nicholson of the Chicago Cubs with the bases loaded intentionally. And Rice, lo and behold, takes the first pitch. Ball 1. First time he has let one go by. (9-3) Boston. In there.
He looks like he's higher on the bat from here. I don't know the close-up shot, but you can see more of the bat handle than the last time.
Yep.
Definitely.
Definitely.
He was a little bit lower last time.
Romero at 3rd, Boggs at 2nd, Barrett at 1st. 2 out. Sinker. 1 and 2.
You know, I was talking to Harry Minor, the Mets scout, and he was telling me that Sisk coming down the stretch was a pretty good pitcher for him. Kind of got lost with everything else, but he did some pretty good work.
One and 2. Boy, that thing really took off. Carter catching it somewhat awkwardly. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A lot of times they throw that sinker, and then you put down the fastball thinking they're going to throw a sinker, and then they'll sail it like that, and it can be a little tough. Even though you know the pitch is a fastball, you don't know where he's going to throw it, whether he's going to sink it or ride it.
2 and 2. 2 down, bases jammed. Ball 3. Well, you can't exactly call it a moment of truth, not when it's 9-3. But for Davy Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre, it has certainly been a long night.
It's exactly what you saw, twitching time.
Sisk from a stretch, and the runners will go. Got him. And again, Carter had trouble on that pitch. Boy, that ball is really moving. and Gary stayed with it to handle it. The Sox get a run and lead 3, and at the end of 8 1/2, 9-3 Boston. Summing up, I think, exactly how he must feel tonight. It has been a highly complicated game for him, with the Red Sox scoring 9 runs and 18 hits. He has used 5 pitchers, and he saw his ace Dwight Gooden buffeted for 6 runs in 5 innings. Mookie Wilson, Len Dykstra, and Wally Backman, bottom of the 9th inning. Strike. Bob Stanley trying to slam the lid on it. Steve Crawford would be the pitcher of record because Roger Clemens, as the starter, did not go the required 5.
And as you look ahead, Vin, we talked about Tuesday and Wednesday, Schiraldi was only up to throw a few pitches, so that's a plus for the Red Sox.
The Red Sox hand gets tougher and stronger. Fly ball to left field. 1 away. Keith Hernandez and the rest of the Mets have to face a sobering fact. In just a few minutes, they're going to be down 2 games to none and go to Fenway Park and tangle with the designated hitter and tangle with the Green Monster. Not to mention Oil Can Boyd and Don Baylor and the Sox who are on a roll. Lenny Dykstra, 1 for 3, involved in what seems at first glance is not very important. But in the 5th inning, when the Mets were trying to get off the floor, he was stymied on that great diving catch by Dwight Evans. Then the Mets had a walk and 2 singles. And with the ballpark bursting in sound, Strawberry struck out, and there was a ground ball, and that was that. For the Red Sox, when we say they are on a roll, remember they were down 3 games to 1 to the Angels and jerked the rug out from under California. They had to win 3 straight from California, and they did it. They came into New York, and they're trying to win 2 straight here. So if the Sox win this game, they will have won 5 straight clutch ball games. They're 2 outs away from doing it. Joe Sambito and Calvin Schiraldi, 2 former Mets, throwing in the shadows of the Boston bullpen. Wally Backman has walked twice and singled twice. Sambito, of course, the left-hander. And Bob Stanley wants a new ball. Pitchers have told me sometimes that some balls feel bigger than others. Sometimes it seems get a seam that's raised or what have you.
They're almost like the surgeon's feel.
Safe crackers.
Yes. Pickpockets.
Sensitive fingertips. 1 ball and no strikes to Wally Backman. The interesting thing, too, Dykstra has a single and a walk. Backman has 2 walks and 2 singles. That means that the 2 guys who set the table, the 2 pests, the 2 fellows who are so important, and how important it is to keep them off the base paths, have been on the bases 6 times and only once produced a run. So you lay the body right at the doorstep of the heart of the Mets lineup. Hernandez, Carter, Strawberry, because the little guys have done their usual big job.
Marty Barrett and Gedman went out and told Stanley what he knows, you know, get the ball over. And the big guy probably said, what do you think I'm trying to do? Well, you're not doing a very good job. Throw some strikes. That's usually the conversation you hear.
2-0. And he does what he's told.
No strategy. You just say, hey, we can't make a play if you walk everybody. Well, I'm not trying. Some conversations you have out there.
Two and 2. Keith Hernandez waiting his turn on deck. He has 1 hit. Had he gotten another hit, the slam off Clemens' leg, who knows how this one would have gone. Slow roller to Stapleton at the bag. He'll take the easy out. 2 down with Dykstra at second base, and the batter is Hernandez. Our special thanks for some great shots to Michael Weissman, Harry Coyle, and George Finkel. It was not much of a story as the Red Sox broke it open in the 7th inning. 9-3 Boston. Tomorrow's moving day, and Tuesday night at Fenway Park. Bob Ojeda, Dennis Boyd. High drive into deep center. Henderson digging to the track at the wall. He's got it. And that summed up the Mets all night. They've been a buck short, and the Red Sox, who were supposedly almost a 3-1 underdog team, have swept 2 in New York. They have sent Davy Johnson and the Mets back to the gloom. And we'll see if it continues at Fenway Tuesday. For the New York Mets, disillusionment. And for Wade Boggs and company, they feel they're a team of destiny, especially after they won that big game against the Angels, and it is held up. Tonight's NBC Miller Lite player of the game would be Wade Boggs, and Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Wade Boggs to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Boggs took a hit away from Hernandez, took a hit away from Carter, took a hit away from Santana. He doubled and scored a run, then he doubled again in the 9th inning, and so Wade gets the honor indeed. But the Sox get the win.
That is the big one. You know, you come into a park, you say, well, if we can split, win one and lose one, we'd be happy. 2-0, they really have to feel that they can do some big damage in Fenway.
It must have seemed like an eternity to the New York Mets, and it was close. 3 hours and 37 minutes. Wade Boggs has to be the man of the moment. Let's go to him and to Bob Costas.
All right, Vin, thanks very much. You know, Wade, a few years ago, most observers would have named you a less than average defensive third baseman. Everybody talks about the 3 batting titles, but you've worked to become effective with the glove.
Most definitely. I come out every day and work 15, 20 minutes extra on the ground balls. The fielding doesn't come easy, and I have to work a lot harder on my fielding than I do my hitting, and it's paying off.
You made a play on Mookie Wilson in the 7th last night. We're looking at a couple of the plays you turned in tonight, but in the 7th to take a hit away, and that preserved the 1-0 lead for Bruce Hurst last night, and at least 3 fine plays tonight.
Well, I didn't get any hits last night, but I felt like I went 4 for 4 with that diving play that I made that eventually saved the tying run. And the only way you can do is contribute in games like this, and I'm just going out there trying to do the best I can.
When people look at a guy with a lifetime batting average of .352 and 3 batting titles, they figure it's been a success story throughout, and yet just a few years ago, the Red Sox organization left you unprotected. Any team in baseball could have had you for 25 grand, and they all passed.
Well, I'm glad they did, because my heart's in Boston, and I'm just doing all I can to contribute in this World Series.
You guys have won 5 in a row after coming back from the brink of elimination, down 3-1, and now you're up 2-0 heading back to Fenway. Got to be a great feeling.
It's a great feeling. This team's got a lot of heart, and they've never given up all year. We've had a lot of adversity on the field and off the field, and we just put forth the effort, and it's paying off.
Thanks, Wade. The other side of the emotional scale, embodied by Gary Carter. He's on the other side of the field with Marv Albert. Marv?
All right, Bob, and for Gary Carter and the Mets, not a pleasant weekend here in New York. The scenario now, the worst possible case, you go to Fenway down 2-0.
Well, it's going to be a tough go, Marv. This Boston Ball Club, they got a great lineup, and they've gotten some good pitching performances. They got one tonight out of their bullpen, that's for sure. So, hey, we'll go on to Fenway, and hopefully we can pick it back up again.
Mets still not hitting. Is the ball club pressing at this point?
I don't think so. We just came off one of the most pressurized series that we've ever played, and I don't know. We got something going a little bit tonight, 8 hits, but we'll have to pick it back up in Boston.
Of course, out of the 8 hits, 2 were bunt singles. Are you embarrassed by what has taken place here at Shea?
No, not at all. I'm very proud of this ball club, and I think we've done it all year, and it's just a shame that, these first 2 games went the way they did, but the Kansas City Royals were down 2 games last year and came back, so anything can happen.
In fact, the Royals, the only club in World Series history to win after trailing 2-0, losing the first 2 at home.
No, exactly, Marv. That's just it about a World Series game, and going on to Boston, and we feel that we can pick it back up again.
All right, what about the pitching rotation? Fernandez used tonight. It was thought that he would not pitch in game number 4 at Fenway. The thought was Ricky Aguilera, who was utilized tonight. Will it be Darling on 3 days rest?
Well, it could be, but I think that Davey is just using everybody he possibly can, and I would say, if anything, it might come back with Sid Fernandez.
All right, Gary Carter of the Mets. Let's get back to Vin and Joe.
Well, thank you, fellas. And it's pretty easy for Wade Boggs on the ecstasy roll to be on the show. And our thanks to Gary Carter. I know he had to bite the bullet every second he was talking to Marv Albert.
He's a class guy, Ben. It's, you know, it hurts more to lose than it feels good to win.
You betcha. Well, remember, Tuesday, the World Series continues with Game 3, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, from Fenway Park in Boston on your World Series network, NBC. It'll be Bobby Ojeda, what a story, the former Boston Red Sox, comes back with an 18-5 record against Dennis Oil Can Boyd, a youngster who was emotionally upset at the All-Star time, suspended, returned, and now trying to make it 6 straight for Boston. The Mets will be fighting for their baseball lives. Join us then. Till then, for Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully wishing you a pleasant good evening.
Promotional fee is big. I'm Bob Yestel. Big night for the Sox. The Sox beat the Mets in Game 2, 9-3. Sox up 2-0 over the New York Mets. And standing by live now at Shea Stadium, John Dennis in the locker room. John.
Bobby Yestel, they are stunned in Metland tonight. The Red Sox have taken a 2-0 lead in 1986 World Series, and now they head back to Fenway Park for Games 3, 4, and if necessary, Game 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at Fenway Park. The winner tonight, standing on my left, Steve.
Shuttle leaves on the half hour. And once you've flown the new pan...
Having a great outing. Bob Stanley having a great outing and picking up Roger Clemens, who's carried this team all year long.
Oh, it feels great. You know, I feel sorry for Roger because, you know, he couldn't go on and, you know, get the win and everything because Roger did it for us all year, just like he said.
Like AT&T phones, you talk there.
That's rough. It's his 3rd time outing that he's went 3 days in a row. But, you know, the outcome, we won, and I went and did my job, and Steamer went out and did his job, and they said the Mets...
Now second-class phones even...
And, well, so far, last night we proved them wrong, and tonight we proved them wrong. So that's just what we got to get done. You know, we're 2-0 up on them right now, but still we got a lot of games to go and go back to Boston and just do...
Live from WBZ TV4. This is Eyewitness News. Nightcast.
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Whitman.
And I'm Casey Kaufman. Well, the New Yorkers dismissed Game 1 as a fluke, but tonight the Red Sox won Game 2, too. And now the long-shot Sox are looking like a pretty safe bet.
The Sox said goodnight, Dwight, scoring early and often against the ace of the Mets staff. The final score, 9-3. The moon was waning over New York and Shea, and so were the hopes of Mets fans everywhere. It looked like the Mets will need major surgery, not just a Band-Aid to cure their ills. The final out a few minutes ago gave the Red Sox a commanding 2-0 lead in the World Series, and it only gets better. Now, it comes back to Fenway.
Let's check in now with Don Shane with more on Game number 2. How can you hate it?
I tell you what, you can't hate this at all. The Sox jump all over Dwight Gooden. Clemens struggles but didn't get hurt quite as badly as Gooden did. Crawford and Stanley excellent in relief. The Red Sox win Game 2, the final score 9-3. They led 4-2.
And there's a drop.
Dwight Evans just crushed one on a line and out, a 2-run shot. Sox led 6-2. Evans not just important with his bat, but as usual with his glove. Watch this next play. Lenny Dykstra at the plate against Roger Clemens, and he hits one to right center. Evans gets there and makes the catch as he hits the turf and shows everybody the ball. The Sox end up winning this thing by a score of 9-3. We'll be back with more on the game. Live locker room reaction from Bob Lobel coming up just a little bit on the sports. Casey and David?
Right, John. We'll look forward to that. Still a lot more ahead on tonight's Nightcast.
Fifth game of the playoffs out there, then they came back to have to make all that trip away to Boston, and they was down. So I hope they're going to be down. I hope they carry it into Fenway, because when they go into Fenway playing Tuesday, we're just going to be up high hopes and ready to go.
Nice job. 3 wins away. Thanks for the visit. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Steve Crawford, the winner tonight. Red Sox 9-18-0. The New York Mets 3-8-1. Red Sox win to go up 2-0 in this World Series. It's back to Fenway Park Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. Oil Can Boyd versus Bobby Ojeda in Tuesday's game number 3. Red Sox lead 2-0. What more could you ask for after a trip to New York City? The Mets, once the prohibitive favorites, are now the major underdogs. It seems like the Red Sox have it all their way. 5 games left. They only need to win 2, and as we said, 3 of those 5 at Fenway Park. That's the story from the Red Sox clubhouse. I'm John Dennis, live at Shea Stadium. Let's go back to Bobby Yestel in Boston for some highlights. Bobby.
Okay, John Dennis, thank you very much. It truly is amazing how the Red Sox are playing. They win tonight 9-3. Let's take a look. I want to show you some of the highlights tonight from that 9-3 win. Sox up 2-0. We pick it up here. A lot of ball checking tonight. McNamara complaining to the umpires
about Dwight Gooden's hand. Apparently he had a bandage in his hand. He pulled it out. You see the umpire looking at Gooden. He made him take the bandage off his hand, a little bandage, claiming possibly maybe scuffing the ball with that bandage. Anyway, Gooden took the bandage off. He was never the same afterwards. Top of the third, Clemens bunts, the pitcher, Roger Clemens. Hernandez's throw is wild off second base, safe all around. Next batter, Wade Boggs, big night for him. He doubles down the left field line. Owen scores. Clemens goes to third. Sox lead 1-0 in the third. Still in the third, Barrett singles to center field. Clemens comes home. Sox lead 2-0 in the third. And yes, Dwight Gooden is starting to sweat. Still in the third, Buckner singles to right field. Boggs is on base. He scores. Sox lead 3-0 in the third. Weird play here. Bottom of the third inning, Hernandez hits off Clemens' leg. Boggs makes a nice play to get Hernandez out of first base. Boggs, big night with the mitt. That was 3-2. The count. Boggs again. Great play at third base. The gold glove play by Boggs. Carter's out. Top of the fourth. Henderson, home run to center field. Gooden was on. He was pitching. Sox lead it 4-2. So we move to the top of the fifth. Another home run for the Sox. Dewey Evans at the plate. A two-run blast to left field, way out on top of the 10th. Rice comes home too. Sox lead 6-2. Bottom of the fifth, the Sox played great defensively. Dykstra with a gapper, but here comes Evans with a catch. Almost loses the ball, adjusts, makes the grab. So Clemens is gone. Crawford is pitching. Bottom of the fifth, Carter singles past Spike. Backman comes home 6-3 Sox. Crawford strikes out Strawberry in the fifth inning, so we move to the top of the seventh. Henderson up to the plate. He will come up and he will single to right field. Rice scores. Sox lead 7-3. Owen then singles to left field. Evans scores. Sox lead 8-3 in the seventh inning, and the Sox add another in the ninth. This is the final out. Keith Hernandez flies out to Henderson. Sox win it 9-3. Big win for the Sox, 9-3.
Brought you in. You said you're the most surprised person in the ballpark. Then in California, you had another great opportunity. Then here tonight, I mean, you say you were surprised. What about nervous when you came in?
Well, one thing about tonight, I wasn't near as nervous as I was against California. And I talked to a lot of guys that's been in the playoffs, and, you know, Lawler's been in the World Series. And he was saying, you know, hey, there's no loser in the World Series. You know, you're the best in the American League, and they got the best in the National League. There's no losers. And the toughest part is just getting through the playoffs, and I think it is. So I wasn't near as nervous tonight as I was in California, because I knew in California everything was on the line. Tonight, you know, if we'd got beat tonight, we're still 1-1, still going to our home park. Now we're going 2-0, we're going to our yard.
It is a little incomprehensible. Sometimes you're a little too close to it, a little too close to the forest to see the trees. But you guys really are on the verge of something very historical here.
Oh, yeah, you know, Red Sox ain't had a World Series champion since 1918, back at Babe Ruth and them. And they came close in 75 and 67. Hey, but it's, you know, it's just like we did it all year. You know, everybody thought we was going to be, you know, choking everything and predict us 5th place, 4th place, whatever. And, hey, we proved a lot of people wrong, and we're going to prove the world wrong when we go out and win this thing. That's what we just got to take it a day at a time, though.
You think there's a factor with the Mets, Steve, that they haven't really had to play a big game all year, and you guys have been playing big games week in and week out just to stay there?
Well, I think what helped us, because we went down to like last week and a half of the season before we clinched it. And they clinched it like almost a month going into the season. So they had time to relax and, you know, get over, you know, they just kind of go on by the season. But we still had to play our rear ends off. It's like we did all year. And they had a 20-game lead almost at All-Star break. And we had 8.5, but then we dropped all the way down to game and a half. So we still really had to struggle and improve the team we was. But they was just going, you know, nonchalant, go out there and play. But, hey, you got to admit, the Mets has got a great team. They wouldn't be a great team if they won 108 ball games this year.
I know you guys are all team players, and that's really what got you here. But you did get the win, and that's got to be a little satisfying.
Oh, yeah, that's a great thrill, you know.
Win, a World Series win.
Oh, yeah, that's a great thrill, and that's a great dream, you know, getting a win in the World Series. You know, tell my wife, oh, no, you know, I'm sitting in being in spring training, whoever think would be in the World Series right now, and, you know, even get a second win of the World Series, it's the greatest thing.
A win.
It's definitely a big win.
Steve,
thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Congratulations. Steve Crawford, winning pitcher tonight. Sox win 18 hits. Everybody hits in the lineup. We'll be back with many, many more interviews from outside the Red Sox lineup. And RBI, the first home run of the World Series, the big home run tonight, another RBI. What a great thrill.
Well, it is. It's a thrill to beat a pitcher like Dwight Gooden and to be swinging the bat really well right now. And you know, we had like 17, 18 hits, and
I know everybody got hit in the lineup
yeah,
tonight. Everybody.
The whole team swinging the bat well, and that's where we want to be in a hot streak.
Well, Andy, I don't know how this compares with the home run you got against the Angels. I guess that just stands alone, but big World Series home run still has to be right up for you.
World Series, and anytime you hit one off a pitcher like Dwight Gooden, it's a special thing, and you know, I'll cherish it in my memories. But we got, you know, Game 3 to go and Game 4.
Well, it's you're on the verge of something very exciting here. 2 down and 2 in the win column, and 2 wins away from the first World Series in 68 years. And I have a feeling, though, there's still a lot of baseball left in the Mets. I mean, they're just not going to roll over. They have not really been tested all year long, and they've got a lot of talent.
Oh, we know that, and you know, they won over 100 ball games this year, and we know they're capable of winning ball games. We're not taking them lightly for anything, and they're a quality club, and they can win when they hit the ball, and we win when we hit the ball.
Well, you're going back home.
That's a great feeling too. We're going back home, and we're getting to our ballpark.
All right, Dave. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dave Anderson, big home run, game-winning RBI. As a matter of fact, 2 RBIs in the night. As soon as we get him out here, we'll be coming back to Shea Stadium to talk to as many of the Red Sox players as possible after their 9-3, 18-hit win. Steve Crawford, the win, Bob Stanley, the save. We'll be, well, hold on just a second. I want to get Bob Stanley right now here as he's coming down the runway. Yeah, we're live. We're live. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me. Help me.
Oh, tell me. It's the most exciting show in my whole life. Got myself in trouble the first 2 hitters, but...
oh, really?
Yeah. And I said...
You mean I was sitting up there and said, that poor son of a gun.
Yeah, and I threw my best palm ball of my life to Hernandez and struck him out, and I battled, but we won, and that's all that counts.
Big save?
Big save, big win. That's all I care about, a win.
You even got an at-bat?
Yeah, that's terrible. I'm glad I can pitch better than I can hit.
Well, you really were up against it. I know the pressure must have really been on when you gave up those 2 base hits, and I'm sure a lot of things were going through your mind at that point.
A lot, you know, with Hernandez coming up, probably the best hitter on the team, and I made some great pitches on him, and then I got Carter and Strawberry, and then it was a little better after we scored a couple more runs, and sweet feeling.
Sweet feeling.
Going home to Boston, 2 games to none.
And on the verge of something pretty special.
That's right. This is, people in New York said we shouldn't even be on the field with this team. Well, maybe they shouldn't be on the field with us.
Good job.
All right. Got to go.
He's beaming. And why shouldn't he be? He's beaming. We're going to go back. Bob Newmeyer, Roger Clemens here. Just a second. Let's go back. Come on, Raj. Hop in here. Nice job. Well, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good, a little tired, but other than that, everything, this is a great win for us, and it was strange, when I was telling the Skip, Mac in there, that when I feel better at the plate than on the mound, something's backwards. I was seeing the ball pretty good at the plate, and felt pretty good getting a couple guys bunted across, but I couldn't get in any rhythm whatsoever out there on the mound.
We were more concerned about your base running after you get on. You just had to turn left at the next one. I didn't even know if you knew that.
Yeah, last shot I didn't do too bad on there, maybe better than some of the regulars.
Was it a matter of just running out of gas or control, or what was it?
I had good enough stuff to get people out, but it was, I guess this is the 3rd time I've come back on 3 days rest, and I guess it's caught up to me now, and I don't know what's going to happen from here. I don't know how many pitches I've thrown or anything like that, but I wanted to stay out there just a little bit longer, but I didn't want to jeopardize the team getting the win.
When Mac came out and talked to you, did you know he was coming out to get you, or did he come out, was going to consult with you and ask you if it was up to you?
Well, when he came out, we talked about it, and Richie said that only the right-hander seems like I'm getting the balls up there consistently, and I'm letting the ball go. But I was getting behind a lot, and it seemed like I was forcing the ball. So the only thing I could tell him is that my legs were pretty much shot, and after that, he went ahead and went to the bullpen.
You got the hook.
Well, it's not a question of getting the hook or anything. It's a good feeling just to get a win like that, and we're going back home up 2-0, and that's something considering that they feel that we shouldn't even shown up.
That's really something. It really is.
So it's
well,
fun.
I'll tell you, and Crawford did a great job, and so did Stanley. So
they did. We had great defensive plays, and the bats took over tonight.
All right, even yours.
All right, thanks.
All right, Roger. Roger Clemens, no decision, but 4 1/3 pretty gutty innings. All right, we're live, and these people in the studio really want me to get back to them. Okay, I've taken much too longer than I should have, and I'm going back to Boston now. We'll be back as soon as we get somebody else, so please forgive me back in the studio. But when we get somebody, we'll be back. I mean, how often do we get 2 games away from winning a World Series? I don't remember. There aren't many people on the planet that will remember around here. We'll have sports final coming up, I'm reminded.
It was touted to be the battle of the pitchers, but Don Shane, it kind of turned out to be a little bit different.
Well, the Sox certainly jumped all over the Mets pitchers. I tell you what, when you win and Roger Clemens doesn't have his great night and you still win, this is something. Clemens was not terrific, but Gooden was even worse. They rock him. Henderson homered, Evans homered. Boggs and Evans make run-saving plays in the field. The Sox have won both games in New York. Final tonight, 9-3. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Clemens bunting right here. Hernandez trying to get on at second. Bad throw, and everybody is safe. Wade Boggs then steps up to the plate and hits one down the line and left, fair by about 1.5 feet, but that's plenty good. Owen scored, and the Sox had a 1-0 lead. They would never trail in this one. Up step Marty Barrett. Has he been terrific or what? Lines one into right center. Clemens doesn't have to use much energy, kind of romps home. It was 2-0. Bill Buckner then steps up. Ground ball through the right side right there. Past Hernandez. Wade Boggs scored. That completed the 3-run inning. Mets got 2 back in their half of the third. Wally Bachman ripped one right up the middle. And there you see Santana score. Now it was 3-2. Mets still threatening. Boggs made a great defensive play on Carter, just like last night, diving to his left, getting up, and throwing Carter out at first base to end the threat. Then Henderson and Evans got more.
A towering smash into left center. Dykstra to the track, at the wall, gone. Hendu hits it out, and the Red Sox lead the Mets 4-2. And look at that fan holding onto his head. And there's a drive into deep left field. Heap just watches this one, and it's going to go on the pavilion top, on the roof.
I mean, he rocked it. Now Evans with the glove. Dykstra to right center. Evans over. Reaches over. Falls down. It's right there in the tip of his glove as he shows it to everybody. Here's the replay. The Sox win this thing by a score of 9-3. We'll have more from Bob Lobel coming up in Sports Final in just a few minutes. Don't go away. How about the Patriots, huh? They jump out to a quick lead against the Steelers today. Then it looked like Pittsburgh just quit. They looked terrible. Rookie quarterback Bubby Brister confused by the Pats defense. Grogan had a field day passing. Pats end up with a 34-0 victory. 3-0 early, and then Grogan threw one down the right sideline to Stephen Starring. He makes the catch. Then he fumbles the ball right there. But watch this bounce, huh? Right up to him. He picks it up into the end zone, and it was 10-0. Brister's first pass after the ensuing kickoff is picked off by Freddie Marion with the good hands. Nothing but plastic grass in front of him. No would-be tacklers. 31 yards for the touchdown. 17-0 the Patriots led. Before the half ended, it went to 24-0. Grogan back, play fakes across the middle. That's Tony Collins, 11 yards. The game was really over after that catch. Second half, poor Bubby Brister on this play. Never really saw Brent Williams coming behind him. Williams hits him right there. Ball pops loose. Andre Tippett ended up with it on the 1-yard line. It led to another Grogan touchdown pass to Willie Scott. Patriots shut out the Steelers. Final score, 34-0.
I mean, my job is to come in and try to do something when I have to, and you know, I feel good about the way things went today and last week. Today we won. That makes it a lot better.
We had just one solid game plan coming into the game, and that's to play sound defensive football and try not to...
On Sports Final, Dwight Evans helps the Red Sox to a 9-3 victory over the Mets in Game 2 of the World Series. He hit this home run. He also made a great catch as the Sox win both games in New York.
I'm Bob Lobel at Shea Stadium, right outside the Red Sox locker room. We'll talk to that guy, that star of tonight's game, Dwight Evans, when we come right back.
We will also show you how the Patriots shut out Pittsburgh today, 34-0. That and the World Series story coming at you next on Sports Final. Hello, everybody. I'm Don Shea, and welcome to Sports Final. It couldn't be any better for the Red Sox. They go to New York. They play 2 World Series games. They win them both. Yesterday, 1-0. Tonight, by a score of 9-3. Our Bob Lobel standing outside the Red Sox locker room right now and joins us live with some more post-game interviews. Bobby?
All right, Don, how sweet it is indeed. As the Sox go back up 2-0, an oil can board against Bobby Ojeda Tuesday night. Dwight Evans and Bob Newmeyer right alongside. Let's talk about the home run. Newmy and I were saying that the home run, you clocked that ball about as well as anybody could hit a baseball. At Fenway Park, maybe not a home run.
That's the question I was asked earlier. I thought it was, you know, I did hit it well, but the ball I hit last night, I just told you I hit it much better, and it was against the wind. But the height of that ball might have hit the wall. So, you know, if you're playing in Fenway Park, it's a single.
That ball hit so hard, it might have thrown you out at first base.
Well, no, I would have made it to first anyway, but I'm just glad it was kind of put the game out of hand at the time, and off a tough guy like Gooden, he just a good time to hit one.
You know, I thought it was so significant because we had talked in the bottom of the inning how incredibly Davy Johnson, we thought, let Dwight Gooden hit with 2 men on base, down 2 runs. Gooden strikes out. Then they go to the top of the inning. You hit the 2-run homer right away off Gooden, and it totally humiliates Johnson at that point.
Well, I don't think it does that to Johnson at all. I think you've got one of your best pitchers in the game of baseball out there. You've got to let the guy hit. It's still, what, the 5th inning or 4th inning, whatever it was, and you got to stay with him and give him a chance. And at the time, what was the score? I don't even remember. It was like
4-2, and your home run made it 6-2.
Yeah, but when Gooden hit, it was 4-2. So he's just hoping maybe to get a base hit or keep it close.
What about the catch?
Catch.
Was it Henderson? Were you worried about him more than you were?
No. When you're playing out there, the center fielder is like the shortstop. Anything he calls, you get off. So I look at him. He doesn't have to look at me. And that's the way we play. I look at him, and I saw no indication that he was going to go for the ball at that particular time. So I had to just stab at it and go for it the best way I could. And it wasn't a beautiful catch, but I caught it.
But it was, it reminded us of another year, 1975, when you made a catch against Joe Morgan.
That was a beautiful catch. Oh, they can't compare those two.
Well, can you compare this second win here? I mean, these guys were prohibitive favorites. You know what?
Well, that's all right. I mean, you know, you've got your staunch Yankees in Boston, and they're not gonna whip out the money like these New Yorkers are. So that's all right. The Vegas squad went on what was being bet. I love being an underdog. I know I love an underdog myself, and I know people around the country love an underdog. So. That's where we've been all year. I mean, you look where you picked us at the beginning of the year.
That's true. I picked you 5th, and he picked you 4th, so I got to give him credit for that one.
Very good.
One other thing, and that is I think you were able to take the crowd out of these 2 ball games. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case at Fenway Park. These Red Sox fans who haven't seen a World Series know that it's in the grasp in Boston right now.
Right. And we're going to go for it. We just, you know, need your support, so come on out and back us the best way you can. Have some fun. Enjoy it with us, and like I said earlier, Tuesday we're going to go for it with everything we have. If we got to kick, bite, and scratch, I know you've heard me say that before. We're going to give it all we have and play like it's our last game. So be out there.
All right, Dewey. Thanks a lot.
All right, my pleasure.
Congratulations. Great game tonight.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, Newmy and I will be back at Shea Stadium. But for now, here on Sports Final with Dwight Evans, let's send it back to Don Shane. Don?
All right, Bobby. Thank you, too, Bobby Newmeyer. All right, let's go to some of the highlights before we go back there to show you how everything kind of unraveled today for the New York Mets. Henderson homers, Evans homers. Evans and Bogg also make terrific defensive plays, and they beat Dwight Gooden. The final score in the game tonight was 9-3. And it was scoreless until the 3rd inning. Wade Boggs works Gooden for an opposite field double to left. Spike comes around to score. The Sox were on top of this thing 1-0, and the Mets never even tied the game after that. Next up, Marty Barrett. He continues his clutch play. Lines one into right center. Roger Clemens didn't have to use up too much of his legs there, coming home from 3rd. And it was 3-0. The hit parade as Bill Buckner singles right here off of Gooden by Keith Hernandez. Boggs scores, and the Sox had this thing in control. But in the home half of the 3rd, the Mets got a couple off of Roger. Wally Bachman right here hits one right back up the middle. Rafael Santana came around to score, and the Mets now trailed by a score of 3-1. And then Keith Hernandez lines it right off of Clemens' foot. Ball scoots out to 3rd. Gooden scores, but Boggs made a great play to first base and got the batter out. To end the inning, Boggs lays down some great leather. Look at that. Dive into his left off of Carter, gets up, threw him out at first base. I tell you what, that ended a big threat for the Mets right there. Then in the 4th, David Henderson gets things going with the long ball.
Towering smash into left center. Dykstra to the track, at the wall, gone. Hendu hits it out, and the Red Sox lead the Mets 4-2. And there's a drive into deep left field. Heap just watches this one, and it's going to go on the pavilion top, on the roof.
Evans just crushed it, and that was it for Dwight Gooden. Then he made a great defensive play to Dwight in the fifth. Dykstra with the drive to right center. Look at Evans getting there and getting it in the web of his glove and showing everybody, yeah, I got that one. And here's another look in slow-mo from center field. Henderson coming over in his path. Still a great grab by Evans. In the fifth, the Sox pull Clemens, who did not have his rhythm. Steve Crawford came on. He gave up this RBI single to Gary Carter. That made it 6-3, but he was terrific after that. In the seventh, Sox got 3 more with 5 consecutive hits. The final one, Spike Owen. Bases loaded single. That made it 8-3. They win it by a score of 9-3. Do not go away. We'll take a break. Bob Lobel will line up another guest in the locker room so you can hear more about tonight's great big victory in New York. Stay right there. 2-0, Game 3, Tuesday night here at Fenway. For now, let's go to Bob Lobel back in New York. A little more reaction. Bobby, I think it's kind of nice and advantageous for the Red Sox, the fact that Roger Clemens doesn't pitch all that well, only goes 4 1/3 innings, and yet they still get a win, and he's going to come back in Game 5 now.
Well, I think that's it just can't hurt him at all, but I also think it's interesting to find out what the weather forecast is for Boston, because when we left, Dave Murray was saying that Tuesday and Wednesday might be a little shaky rain-wise, and that might give him an extra day of rest. So I'll tell you what. First of all, they're ahead 2 games to love in this World Series. And going back home, how can you hate it? Everything is now with the Red Sox right now.
I'll tell you, this city is in a state of shock right now. There's no question about it. When we walked in here last week, all the New York papers were assuming that this series would go no more than 5 games, and most of the money was on a sweep. I think Red Sox supporters thought they had a legitimate chance because of the pitching matchups. The key, obviously, was Hurst winning the first game. Now you take your chances with Clemens and Gooden. Who would have thought that the Red Sox would have rattled around 18 base hits tonight, 2 shy of the record, take Gooden out of the ball game early on, put Johnson on the griddle, and he was booed in front of his home fans. I mean, this city is stunned right now.
They are stunned, and I'll tell you what, everybody thought it was a great matchup, Clemens and Gooden, but those guys really didn't figure in, obviously, in the ball game.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Clemens is a tired guy right now. He said he warmed up hard in the bullpen. He ran the bases a little bit, and I think that, you know, the 3 games with 3 days rest came back to haunt him a little bit. Perhaps the Red Sox squeezing the lemon dry, but they may be rooting for a day of rain or something like that. You may see the Sox come back with a nipper in the 5th game. I think you might see Clemens get the 4 days rest now and maybe come back for a 6th ball game.
Well, I think that rain factor, let's wait and see. You know, I didn't hear Dave Murray tonight, but that's
one other thing, and that is I think that Wade Boggs, talk about the ultimate sting. Here's a guy that was, I'll talk to Marty Barrett here, but I was just talking, Marty, about the thought I had about Wade Boggs and how he had the reputation in sports as not being a good defensive player. I think sports, when you have a rap, it's hard to break it no matter what. What a perfect stage to pull a Brooks Robinson and a Greg Nettles in the World Series.
You're right, Bobby. He's always done the job at 30s, have some sure hands. And he has been getting a little recognition. I think last year he finished 2nd or 3rd in the Gold Glove voting, but this is really something when you can do it in front of this many people for 2 weeks straight like he has. It's big.
If I had told you that the Red Sox would rattle 18 hits off this invincible Met pitching staff, would you believe me?
No, I wouldn't have, but we did it, and we got to keep on rolling along here. We're playing real good ball. We got a 5-game winning streak. We've got to try to make it 6, and we got to try to make it 7 in the year.
It's a matter of historical significance now. I mean, maybe you're too close to it to see what really it all means. Is that the case? I mean, I know you're out here, you're involved day to day. It's your job. You're playing baseball, but it's really an historical thing now.
Well, I'll tell you, we're just we're playing real loose. We know that other teams have come back. I know the Cardinals were up 2-0 last year, and just like we came back with the Angels, but we just got to go out there and take it one day at a time, and we're playing real well now, so hopefully we can pull it off.
You got to look at the bottom of that inning when the Red Sox scored those 3 runs, and it was almost a mirror image, what with Hernandez messing up one bunt, and then the bottom of the other side coming back.
It's identical, wasn't it?
And Buckner missing that ball, and now all of a sudden, Boggs makes not 1, not 2, makes a great play in the Dykstra bunt, then the ball smashed off Clemens, makes the great bare hand play there, and then caps it off with the dive in the hole.
Yeah, that Dykstra bunt was big. I know we huddled in there, and Roger was talking about if he makes a good bunt, I'll try to throw it to you, Wade. And I said, no. I said, if he bunts it down your way, Wade, you just go after it no matter what, because you know, we need to get an out right here, and that's what happened. And then he did make a great play on Carter, and that's what took him out of the ball game that early.
Bob, I'm going to give you the mic. Maybe I can hustle up Boggs or Mac before we go off the air.
Okay, Newman. Thanks, Marty. Nice job.
Okay, take care.
Okay. All right, we'll come back. We get a hold of John McNamara and Wade Boggs. We just talked there. We'll be back here live at Shea Stadium. The Sox take a 2-0 lead in the 1986 World Series, and they're heading home. We may not come back here. I don't mean tonight. I'm talking about next Saturday or Sunday. Don?
All right, Bobby. Great stage, of course, for Wade Boggs, as you guys are talking about, but equally great for Marty Barrett, one of the most underrated players in all of baseball all this year, and he showed his stuff for the championship series and just continues to do it in the World Series. Don't go away when Sports Final continues to look at the Patriots' easy win over Pittsburgh. Stay with us. Pittsburgh sure looked awful today. Steve Grogan passed for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns. The defense sacked the rookie, Bubby Brister, often. Intercepted him a couple times. He looked a lot confused as the Patriots shut out the Steelers 34-0. Take a look at Brister, the fans' choice over the much-criticized Mark Malone in Pittsburgh. Bad pass here, picked off by Raymond Claiborne. It led to the Pats' first touchdown of the game today.
Down linemen and linebackers, a very good group as Grogan stands in, lofts the ball, and there is Starring open inside the 20. Free ball. Starring gets his own and goes in.
And that made the score 10-0. Brister's next pass after the Claiborne interception also picked up.
Brister stands in, they give him some time, and he's intercepted. And this is going to go back and go the distance as Fred Marion picks it off and takes it in.
I tell you, it only got worse. Look at Steve Grogan. Nice play faking. Spots Tony Collins all alone in the end zone. That one made it 24-0. And Grogan had passed for, at this point, 241 yards. After a while, you had to feel sorry for Bubby Brister. Look at rookie Brent Williams. Chase him right here and catch him right there. Ball pot loose. Andre Tippett. Who else, huh? Always around the ball. Fell on it at the 1-yard line for the Patriots. And from that point on the field, it is very easy. Just a couple of plays later, Steve Grogan rolls to his right and hits Willie Scott, the tight end, in the end zone. And that was yet another Patriots touchdown. That made it 31-0. The Pats end up winning it 34-zip.
First time I've ever been in Three Rivers Stadium on a coaching on the team and ever won a game here. I was with both the Lions and the Browns, and we came in a few times, and so it's a unique experience to come away with a victory in Three Rivers Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our football team just had a real great all-around day. I thought a real great team effort from offense, defense, and the kicking game.
I think we had the passing game going early, which kind of set up the run today. We've always been a team to run the ball first and throw second. Today we did just the opposite, and I think it loosened them up a little bit so we could get the run going.
Well, it was a must-win for us, for us to stay in our race, in our division. And, I don't know, Pittsburgh having some problems offensively, but they have a good defense, and it was a good test for us offensively, and we came out pretty well.
We're capable of having games like this throughout the season. It's just a matter of just all playing together. No mental mistakes, no missed assignments or anything like that, and just go out and play good football.
And that's what the Pats did today. They're now 4 wins, 3 losses. If the Broncos beat the Jets tomorrow night, Patriots will be just a game out of first place. That's it for Sports Final for this Sunday. Red Sox beat the Mets 9-3. Game 3 here in Boston Tuesday night. Patriots beat Pittsburgh 30-0. For Bob Lavelle and Bob Newmeyer in New York, I'm Don Shane. Thank you all for looking in. I hope to see you next Sunday. Good night, everyone.